Sending data. Twitch is on. And YouTube is on. Let's go. Very nice, very nice, very nice. Very nice, very nice, very nice. Alrighty. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. Let's get this on the road. Let's get this started. Da 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 da. Alrighty. How do you want to start? I'm gonna let you start this off, Blake. Pick a topic. Pick a topic. Yeah. Yeah. Why are we so focused on him? What's going on there? What is up with this man that we keep hearing headlines from him? What do you mean he's a goat? Yeah, but it's like I understand, but that shouldn't. Why are we hearing about him after the automaker business? That's what I want to know. Like, why is that such a focal point now? Is it because he ran an American business? Is it like what's going on there? What do you think? Oh, let me put my mic closer to my face. Oh, okay. Yeah, but there's a lot of CEOs that have done that. There's a lot of CEOs they let go quietly. That's why I'm like trying to like that's why I'm asking you, like why are we so focused on him on the aftermath of such? Like we get with the whole Gosling situation with Nissan because his big thing was he was in a luggage and flew himself out of there type bull. Like that was crazy. Like that was news because like who would do that from an automaker company like that type ordeal. This is just he fucked up, they fired him, or he resigned, quote unquote, and then that's that's that. So why are we hearing more about it? Is what I want to know. Like I can hear you. It should still be. Oh shit. Why is it not grabbing the desktop audio? What's going on here? Try it now. No, 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 no. That's not doing nothing. I gotta fix your audio settings. Try it. No, nothing. Wow. Try now.
Yo, yo.
There you go. Now you're live. Let me just adjust it now. All right, let's get back to it. Why are we focused on this man right here?
All right. We are focused on this man mainly, mainly, mainly because he does a good job at restoring businesses. Now, people are going to say, what do you mean by that? Well, he did a good job at, keeping Nissan afloat after the whole Carlos Ghosn thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, um, he was more passionate about keeping Nissan an actual company rather than letting someone like Honda subsidize them or even turn them into like just a manufacturing company for them.
Yeah.
So he has a lot of good things about his character and his leadership skills. Now 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 I might be getting him confused with the Nissan CEO, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I think I just confused him with the Nissan CEO. I think I just said things that he did for Nissan. So I'm really sorry. Things he did for Dodge, because Dodge and
Or for
Nissan basically the
Stellantis.
same.
Let's Stellantis, the
Yeah,
whole
still,
group.
yeah, because they both in the same category in terms of how many sales they have, what they need to be considered successful. Yeah, both of these companies are, doing bad. Dodge and Nissan both. But so let's just say Stellantis, right? Stellantis isn't doing too well, especially on the American side of things in the Western world. Because, they took away the V8s, Jeeps, and everything else. But he was thinking that he was trying to get the business costs and profits. You know what I mean? So the cost to make the cars, I think he was trying to bring it down
Mm-hmm.
and show them that, hey, we can make a real good profit. But they didn't know how to manage the US. Like they don't understand that their plan, let me just say this, their plan is a great plan. You know what I mean? They downsized the engines like everybody else did. It's not like they did something out of the ordinary
Yeah.
and like so different from any other manufacturer that it's like it was offensive. It's just that. You made a very valid point on one of our earlier videos. And you said, if you take away the V8, it's un-American. Without the V8, it's not American. And ever since then, I'm like, you really had a point because even though yes, we can make an engine with more power, aka EcoBoost V6, right?
Yeah.
People still want to buy the V8, and Ford did well by offering the V8 still.
Yes.
Chevy, even though Chevy doesn't really have any other engine other than a 2.7 liter 4 cylinder turbo, they don't really have a turbo 6 cylinder yet in their trucks, but they still offer the V8s, which, I mean, what else are they going to offer technically? But they still offer the V8. They just gave us a twin turbo Eco V6 diesel thing, or
Yeah.
like Dodge did too. Like they all gave us like this 6 cylinder diesel instead of making like a twin turbo V6 gas engine. They gave us a diesel. So, anyways, staying on Carlos Tavares, he tried to save Stellantis money and basically he misread the American market. So it's almost like seeing this great person or a person that has so much skill made such a terrible call, especially with a market that should be so easy to understand. I mean, American markets, I mean, I felt like it's very easy. Fast, V8, nice looking car, price. That's it. You don't really need much. Like we've seen in the past with American cars, they don't even make good cars sometimes. They just slap together, sell it, and it
He should
sells.
slap it together and sell it, and it
And
sells.
it sells. It sells. It'll sell.
Oh
That's
man.
all I have to say about that. It was something.
Well, did he? How does he? But how would he not know the American market if most of Stellantis is American? Like if you're
Mm,
looking at the if you're looking at it from the brand side, like let me see, Google.
Alpha, Fiat, Maserati, and some stake in Ferrari. Then you have Renault, I believe, as well. That's like a little joint. I don't know. I think that's Nissan, but I forget. Then you have Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram.
Yes, you have Vauxhall,
Hmm.
um,
I
Vauxhall,
know those.
Peugeot,
Hmm.
Opel, DS Automobiles, Citroen, Alfa, Romeo, Lancia, and Abarth, and Fiat. So you got 9 brands that are overseas, but the big brands, which is basically just all Dodge, is Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram. So 4 versus 9, and then Maserati. I forgot Maserati. So 4 versus 10 in a sense.
I
One,
wouldn't even
two,
call
three.
Abarth a brand. That's just a package for Fiat.
What? Abarth and Alpha and Maserati and Lancia.
Hmm.
That's all package of Fiat.
No, no, I'm saying like Fiat Abarth. I'm like Abarth is just a package to me. But
Well, it's like Dodge and Ram. It's like what like we're gonna consider
yeah, I
that a
get it.
package too. You know what I'm saying? But they're gonna if they're gonna split it, then they're splitting the type ordeal. We can't just exclude them because of that. But
At least
that's what
Ram has models now. Abarth is just like I don't even.
cause it's the way it works is it's Fiat. It's obviously Fiat Chrysler. Opel is his own thing under Stellantis, but they obviously own Vauxhall. Fiat is his own thing under Stellantis, but they own
Mhm.
Abarth and Lancia. Alfa Romeo is his own thing under Stellantis. Citroen is his own thing under Stellantis. They just have DS Automobile. Chrysler is his own thing, even though it's the same thing as Dodge. Dodge is his own thing, but for some reason, but they own Ram. What is it? Citroen is his own thing, and Jeep is his own thing. So they're all their own thing, and they have like you know, sub
You know what?
manufacturers under them. Some of them.
You know what? I went to Abarth's website and I'm actually impressed just because they make these little Fiats look so cool.
Oh yeah, of course. Let me see. Barth.
Abarth.com. They make the little they make the little Fiats look cool. I can't even lie. Like that actually
They are
made me
nasty
say, you know
looking.
what?
They are pretty cool
I'm
looking.
like, all right, you know what? I will say that they're a brand because I get it. They're like it's like I'm trying to think of another little side brand like I guess like SVT is to Cobra to Mustangs or yeah, I guess SCVT best way I could describe it.
Yeah, but
Yeah, they
it's
actually
still owned
modify.
under what is it? Fiat, Barth. And Lancia is owned under Fiat. So they're subsidiaries
Hmm.
basically.
Yeah, which I'm surprised that they have Ferrari under Fiat, but I get it.
They do have Ferrari under Fiat, but I feel like it's more of a
It's
now
more
a
of its own thing.
yeah, I think it's more of a shareholder thing now than it is them actually owning Ferrari. I'm pretty sure that's what it. Oh, Stellantis has their own website.
Yep,
Our
all their brands.
brands, except all. So they own. So under the
That's
Stellantis
bullshit.
group
Sorry,
is
sorry, sorry, sorry.
Abarth, Alpha, bullshit. Is Abarth, Alfa Romeo, Chrysler, Citroen, Jeep, Fiat, DS, Automobiles, and Dodge, Lancia, Maserati, Opel, Peugeot, Ram, Vauxhall, Free to Move, and Leasys. Could be saying that wrong.
Nope, I want free to move.
Free to Move, what is this?
Free to move.
It is a global mobility provider that offers shared cars services to individuals and companies. So it's
Yep.
a car rental thing.
Car
All right.
subscription. Yep. So again, that's why Dodge ain't worried. Dodge is gonna do the same thing to Nissan did when they ain't got no sales and shit. They're gonna sell subscriptions to cars, shake up the market. Nobody's gonna know how to react, and then everybody's gonna be like, "Oh my god, this is the best thing." Like for example, you or I are gonna be able to go reserve. Like, let's say you want a Maserati 4C,
Yeah.
or and then maybe I'm like, you know what? Well, I want the what's another car that I guess Stellantis would have. I want an Alfa Romeo, maybe, and I'm like, I'm gonna go get an Alfa Romeo Quadrifoglio.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
mean, they don't make
And
that
then
anymore,
obviously
but I get you.
they don't.
I don't think so. I think they stopped last year.
Wow. But let's say I was gonna get one of those. Like, yeah, then I see that it's a subscription service being like, all right, yep, I'm done with this car. Hey, yeah, you know, selling it.
Yeah, the production ended in June 2024
Nice.
for the Julia and let's see the Stelvio. That also ended in June 2024. So the Quadrifoglio lineup ended in June 2024.
Wow. So no more quadrifoglios.
No, but the engine will still be around. So because there's companies like Ital Technica, they still supply them from Stellantis. So they're still gonna supply the engines this year, so people who want them can get them. But for a stock engine, I believe is like $45,000 to $60,000, from what I remember
See,
having to do a quote on one. And then the one overseas that Ital Technica custom builds, basically, it's loosely based on it, but they built their own V6 off of it, so pretty cool. I
so
believe theirs is a hundred thousand.
you mean to tell me
Yeah.
they're not gonna have no bespoke engine anymore? They're just gonna have their regular
Whoa, was it
schmegular.
really bespoke, or did they just chop off two cylinders from the Ferrari F154?
That makes it bespoke. They made
Yeah.
their own.
I mean, you know what?
Like, well,
By the
what I mean is,
definition,
it's
by the
their own.
definition, I give you that. By the
It's
definition, I
their
give you
own.
that.
Like it's their own. Like basically everything else they have is a four cylinder. It's like the same. Right? I know you're about to give
It's
them
a
slack.
multi-air, is what it is.
Mm-hmm. But the same way you about to give them slack is like how like we looked at Nissan or Infinity, right?
Yeah.
No engine, no engine choices. So that technically isn't bespoke. You know what I mean? It's a regular production engine. So I get what you about to say. It's like it's pretty much their only engine other than their multi-air. You know what I mean? Like it's like
Pretty
all right, you
much.
get this or you get the meat and potatoes. And it's like I want the meat and potatoes, but that's all they offer. Is the meat and potatoes. They don't unless you want veggies.
He said you want veggies, you get meat potatoes instead. No, I get you.
Mm-hmm.
I get you.
So and so, but yeah, yeah, like it's like, but damn, really nothing. That's it. They're really killing all their brands, and it's sad. But I honestly think what I could see happening here is if they were to remake the car, which I doubt they would, they'd have to make it smaller, but it would have to accompany the Hurricane six cylinder.
Yeah, okay.
And I don't think I'd ever see that happen because of the Alfa Romeo heritage. Because in the U.S., we don't look at Alfa the way other people in the world look at Alfa. And the way I can understand Alfa is it's supposed to be that, yes, that Italian sports car, sports sedan, or sports coupe. And in the U.S., I hate to say it, or maybe even around the world, they just lost their touch compared to companies like Ferrari and Lamborghini. You know what I mean? Like they compete. They have Ferrari, which does the real sports cars.
Mm.
Maserati would have been nice, like how Acura, Lexus, and Infinity is to all their like mainstream brands. Well, Alpha could have been like that, but obviously Ferrari's a high end brand, so it
So
would have been more.
let me update this now. There's the Julia GTA and GTA M was the only run was 2020. They still make the Quadrifolio, but the North American market they stopped making. But they still make
What did you
them.
just update Wikipedia?
Yeah, I'm just looking it up real quick. You know, it's the quickest thing I can
Okay,
see. So
I thought you updated.
no. So they stopped production for North America in 2024, but they still do production in Europe, UK, and China.
Okay, then that's all I need to know.
But like
All I need to
America,
know.
it's
That
like
that tells
America.
me they'll
Oh,
still
we
keep
stopped getting this engine. Like they just don't care about America, to be honest. Which
nobody
I
does.
ain't gonna blame them.
No. I understand. Oh crap! I understand right now. Give me 2 seconds. Coming right back. I'm right here. And just when you spill a little bit of coffee.
He should spill a little bit of coffee. Of course that
Yeah,
happened. Oh, and some of them come in an optional 6 speed. That's crazy.
nice.
2 liter, 2.2 quadrifolio. Wow. The six
Yep.
speed must come in a diesel.
Comes in a diesel.
It has to, cause ain't no way this quadrifolio twin turbo. This engine developed by engineers with Ferrari background. Yep. It is derived from Ferrari's own twin turbocharged F154CB V8, shared in the California T's bore stroke of 86.5 by 82 mil stroke. Blah 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 blah. The updated version has direct import fuel injection with 20 pounds of boost or 1.4 bars for overseas. It has cylinder deactivation, which shuts off the right bank. I don't care about that shit for EPA regulations. Also,
Hmm.
I don't think this one comes. Oh no, it does have the option of 6 speed. Mechanically, this model is fitted with a torque vectoring rear diff and an 8 speed automatic manufactured by ZF. And then there's a ZF 6 speed manual available option in the European markets. It's always in Europe. Always in
Yep.
Europe that gets the cool things.
We never get all that nice fancy stuff. That
We
good
don't get a
shit.
6 speed manual. They're like, the Americans don't like it anyway. They'll get the automatic.
Yep.
Yep, it is derived. It's basically the same thing as the F154 engine, just chopped off 2 cylinders. It is the engine designed by the same person, Gianluca Pivetti. Yep, Gianluca Pivetti. So they're still making the engine. They just stopped North America production. That's what it is.
Of course, they still make it.
But still, back to the topic at hand with Stellantis and all this shit. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if they own a shareholder in Ferrari. They do. All right, cool. If they don't, Ferrari's filing his own thing once again. I'm iffy about the information about that. But back to the topic at hand. Why are we focused on this old dude right here? Why? He is now in the he. I guess he's turning attention to airline and the winemaking business. But why are we after his 40 million awarded salary? But
Well,
what's the idea? I want to know how he got this position first place.
um, he likes fast cars.
No, he don't. No
Yeah, he
way.
does.
What do you mean?
He likes fast cars.
Yeah, bullshit. If he was
And
trying to get
and
more fuel efficient, yeah, he likes fast cars, all right.
he only had to do the fuel efficiency thing because of the European standards and regulation. But I did a quick little reading on him. He has a similar mentality and mindset as Carlos Ghosn, and he did work under Carlos Ghosn, which was at Nissan at the time. Before Nissan had that whole thing where Carlos Ghosn tried to ship himself in the what it was in a coffin
Yeah.
to his home country from Japan. because he messed up Nissan so bad. So he didn't want to step down. Carlos Ghosn never wanted to step down. So Carlos Tavares never got a chance at being the CEO of Nissan. And
What
of
was he
course, then he
gonna?
found his
But
way in Stellantis.
at that point, he would have probably brought Nissan down even worse.
He probably would have brought them up. The reason, but hear me out.
I would like to hear this.
Nissan, Nissan, inline six. That's right up Nissan and Europe and Japan's playbook. For
Mm,
some reason, people don't look at the Americans like that. They look at the Americans and say, they're not going to make something like that.
mm.
Well, they did. The problem is he misread the market. Instead of saying, hey, we're going to give you guys options, we're American. We love options. We love the choice. If you give us a choice, we're going to be there because we want to be able to make a choice. But if you don't give us a choice to make, we're probably not going to show up. So he didn't give the Americans a choice to buy the engine that they wanted, just the car that they wanted. And it came with only one engine option or
Wh-
EV.
which is
So, of course, uh, that new Hurricane six cylinder,
okay.
which yes, people are going to like it because it has power, but it's not going to give them the Dodge character or heritage. You know what I mean? Like when you start up a Dodge or you hear a Dodge, you expect to hear it sound aggressive, be obnoxious, annoying. You know what I mean? Fast, or maybe not fast as loud, but usually some speed in it. But no, he gave us these EV electric cars and everything, and then the trucks have six cylinders. It was new. You know what I mean? It's like nobody was prepared for it. If people were prepared for it, and they talked about it a lot sooner,
Mm-hmm.
I think we would have had a better transition. But because how do I call it? Because Dodge just offered just that, people are gonna revolt. People fought back. People didn't buy it. Could be better, but people aren't gonna buy it if it's better if they don't have an option or a choice.
You think the supply demand's that crazy where they have no other choice but to buy it when there's more options
No,
out there?
well, no, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what I'm saying. That's what I said. If you give people the option, they're gonna buy it. If there's no option, they're not gonna buy it. There's so many other options of car brands and cars and stuff like that. Where like even myself, there's cars that I probably never would drive, but in this generation that they're making, I'd probably drive it just
Okay.
because if they're doing better than my favorite manufacturer or brand, I'm not gonna go against what's better. It's better. And if it's better as a whole, yeah, I'm gonna have to go with that option. So like this guy came in, didn't make the brand better. I mean, the sales across the line, the whole brand tanked. It wasn't like it was just one brand. It was like Jeep wasn't making any sales. And Jeeps are pretty decent today. But I do see them on the road. They're just not making the sales that they want.
Yeah.
Um, Dodge, Dodge made a crazy comeback, but they're not making any sales just because they don't have a V8 anymore. It's funny to say that, but like, yeah, like you can make a good car, but it doesn't offer the soul that people wanted of it. And then the Dodge cars and Chrysler cars, they have nothing. They have nothing right now. Like they had cars, they were all old and stale. So I expected this to be like a transitionary period, but I didn't expect it to be this rough and harsh for them. Like I expected them to already have the new Chrysler 300 whipped up. And if so, okay, guess what? You guys have an issue with selling the Chrysler 300 and the Charger at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
Then do what every other manufacturer brand does. Move the 300 up market and leave the Charger where it is. The Charger stays as your muscle sedan, and
Yeah.
the 300 now goes into being a real luxury sedan with rare entertainment seat package, heated seats in the back, massage seats in it, maybe even offer an extended wheelbase for it because it's not that hard to just add some metal. Yes, you're gonna alter the way the car handles, but it's not that hard to just add a little bit of metal
Yeah.
so you can have a longer back seat. And instead of this car being marketed as a muscle or luxury muscle sedan, it's
Yeah.
now a luxury sedan with the Hemi. It has all your American attributes, but it's luxury.
But wouldn't
Like
you
they have
think?
they have it.
I think with a 300, they'll probably try to make that. They'll probably try to make it electric. That's the like that's the only car I could see going full electric in that lineup, other than what's already out there. Like as far as like
Really,
plug-in hybrid, yeah. Like think about it. You talk about luxury, right? What's more luxury than not hearing any noise outside the car, like not just road noise, not just any of that, but like engine noise. Because those V8s, they although you can quiet them down, all that emission BS, that car will make sense to not like go EV. It will make sense to be in a EV vehicle than like let's say the new Dodge Challenger, where that's EV for some odd reason. I feel like they focused their
Charger,
efforts on the wrong. Yeah, the
Charger.
Charger. I feel like they focused their efforts on the wrong car when it came to doing an EV.
I would honestly, I guess I'm a little different. I prefer my muscle luxury car to be a little bit more, uh, you know, have some soul. But I guess the way I want to describe it is, I mean, I understand why companies like Dodge and Ford, everybody chose the cars that they had to make EV. Like Dodge chose a Charger because electric Charger. Yeah, get it. And it's like okay, all right, that's cool. Or or the Ram Rev or the Ram Charger that they're gonna make now. It's
Yeah,
supposed to be the Ram with the range extender. That
yeah,
makes sense name wise. The Ford Lightning is a, I mean, I didn't like it at first, but it makes sense. It's like lightning. Okay, I get it. Ha ha. Electricity. And then like that's why I feel like Chevy missed the mark when they came out with the new Silverado EV instead of just calling it the Avalanche. Even though yes, Avalanche is snow, at
hmm
least it would have went with Thunder, Charger, it would have been all these cool names because all they did is just bring back the Avalanche as the EV and just call it the Silverado EV. We ain't gonna. But you know, yeah, like I get what you're saying. EV would make sense. Luxury car, quiet.
yeah.
That sophistication, and they can add all the screens they want, all the little electric features they could. It would make sense. It's just that the Charger's always been like a Charger brother.
Yeah.
So I think you're onto something because since the Charger's already an EV and the Charger 300 always been platform mates, I've been feeling that yeah, they'll probably. I want to be surprised if they do exactly what I said and you said just now, make it an EV, but also make it longer than the Charger a little bit. So it's
hmm
like so it's like the size of um how do I call it? Grand Marquis, Lincoln Town Car,
Ooh. Okay.
like
Okay.
something that size, something big. Where then the Charger, because the Charger is almost those size of those cars, but then the Charger now can continue being sporty, slightly more sporty. Like, it seems like they try to, with their goal for this generation for the Charger was to make it a little smaller because it's always been a relatively porky car.
I mean, body style wise, they're goddamn. Besides the rear hoops, they're goddamn pretty similar.
Hmm. See, I like this generation because they further distinguished them and made them like different. Now, yes, panels and stuff can still be swapped on if you know what you're doing and you're good at body work. But yeah, like they made them different enough, which from the back windows and everything else. And they've always been different enough, like
I
even the
just,
first
I
generation.
just feel the Chrysler 300. If they were to EV one of these cars, I feel as if the Chrysler 300 should have been the vehicle to do so. That's what I think.
Really,
I don't see why they did it with the Dodge Charger Daytona. Like that to me made no sense. I think it was a bad overall strategy to do so, but they've already performed it. They've already done it, so it is what it is.
I see. Okay, from a marketing standpoint, I see why they did it. From a consumer
Really?
standpoint, I don't see why they did it. From a marketing standpoint, the Charger is your number one selling car. Everybody and their mama wants a Charger. So in their mind, they were thinking, okay, people, We already told them we're not only gonna make it EV, we're gonna make it also gasoline powered. The problem in today's world is everybody hears one thing, attacks that one thing. So they said, hey, we're making a gas power charger and an electric charger. Everybody panicked just because they saw the EV one first. And they even said that we're going to release the EV one first and then the gas one later on. Everybody's bad mouthing the EV charger. So the scolder, slandering it. People even started stop buying Dodges now in general, Stellantis products
But
just because.
but
And
that's
it's like, but
because I don't know. I think
but they
go
said
ahead.
they were going to offer the gas one. They did say that it wasn't like they said we're only offering EV. It's not like okay, for example, Mustang Mach E, right? It's
Uh-huh.
only EV, but at least yes, you can still get a regular, traditional two-door Mustang. But you know what I mean? Isn't that? But that's different. See, the Charger, they were like, hey, we're coming out with a gas one, but we're gonna make it EV first. If they didn't want this negative press, they would have had to drop out the gas model first
Yeah.
and then the EV. That's it. This whole thing for Dodge would have gone so differently if they dropped the gas model first and then the EV. I guarantee you. I
I okay.
guarantee you.
I agree. I
People,
agree.
people would say people would have been like, "Wow, this new Hurricane engine is actually a beast." We would actually have aftermarket support for it. Like that's why I think I sent you
But the
a
so
little snippet of somebody
I
in a
agree
Ram
it would
running
have
11.
been I agree it would have been different. My thing is would the reaction still be the same because they switched to V8 for an inline six? That's what I'm trying to get.
No,
Like, yes, they kept a gas power engine, but then when you started and shit, you're like, why? What happened to the V8?
you
What
know what?
happened? You
It's
know?
okay. You know why I say it's okay? I'm gonna tell you why. The same thing how and even in German land and all over the world where we had the V8 or V10 or even a V12, and when we downsize, everybody hates it at first. But if that engine produces more power, performs better, and achieves the same level of fun that we're
Yeah.
looking for in a car,
Mm-hmm.
it will be accepted. It will be it will become one of those things where people are like, you know what, I didn't like it at first, but I like it now. Like okay, Audi had a V8 in the S4 S5s. They went supercharged six cylinder. Everybody hated it at first. They're like, man, what happened to the V8? It was nasty. You're the Audi with a V8. Then they went with the six cylinder. Nobody cared for it the first few years, like for the first 5 years, really. And then all of a sudden, the aftermarket support's blowing up.
Yeah.
We're to the point now people are actually running tens, 11s, tens consistently, nines now with those supercharged six cylinders, V6s.
Yes. Yes.
So that same thing would have happened to me in my mind to the Dodge world because the Hemi was already has been out for a while. It's already had a pretty good run. Some people argue with me, so it still could run. No, the Hemi had a good run. It's now time for Ford's Coyote to take over, and now Chevy's new ZR1 to show the world what's up because the Hemi had its run when it came out with the Hellcat in 2015. Like, the SRT motors were good. They were great. They always had like a foothold in the market. The 6.1 when it came out, then the 6.4. Then it made Chevy rework their 6.2 to make it have way more power.
Yeah.
And it made Ford say,
Because at that point
all
it
right,
was
5.0.
at that point it was the battle of the push rods. It was Dodge versus Chevy, and
Exactly.
then
And then Ford
yeah.
even said, let's go tweak our 5.0 because 400 horsepower, 400 and 30 horsepower or whatever, 20 of it ain't gonna cut it. We need 480 or at least or around there,
Well, we need more than
470,
that. It's like
480.
you got double the valves. Like, let's get going.
Yeah. And then they modified it, got squeezed more power out of it, and boom. So we went on this little war. Then of course Dodge said, okay, hold my beer. Here's a Hellcat. And then nobody could respond to that for a while because the most powerful supercharged V8 Chevy had was only 550 horsepower around that time. Because that was like the standard for V8s, and Ford just didn't have that at the time. You know what I mean? Like their supercharged engines were only making 400 back then. So you know what I mean? You got you got all these engines, all these beasts. So if the Charger again, if it came out with that Hurricane, that made more horsepower from the factory than a Scat Pack, but
Mm-hmm.
only about 200 or just about 200 horsepower less than a Hellcat, but it's lighter, about a couple hundred pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all day people would have said, "Man, I love this new Charger Challenger EV thing because it's supposed to be a two-door and a four-door Charger. No more Challenger." Challenger name got retired again, which I'm okay with it because the Challenger wasn't something that how I look at it, how I've always looked at the Challenger, and some people are gonna say, "Wow, how are you really a Dodge fanboy?" The Challenger was never a car that was supposed to have this type of cult following, in my opinion. It did a little bit back then, but the Charger was the one that really had the cult following, the General Lee, all of that. It was the
Well,
Charger
the thing about it was they had to, they had to
because
make
they
a
messed
four
up with
door.
the four
No,
door.
they had to make a 4-door model, and they had to make a 2-door model. And it was just a matter of which one was gonna get the title. That was pretty much how that went. It was a matter of like, all right,
See,
which
in
one
my
has to get
opinion,
the title? Like a BMW, they had to build instead of an M3 and an M3 4-door, they had to build an M4 to give it the 2-door, and then the M3 to give it the 4-door. That was that same issue there.
well, it is an issue, but if you look at it when the 4 Series first came out, what was it? It was a Grand Coupe.
Yes.
So 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 it's like
It
I
was
get what
even
you're
it
saying
was a
there,
grand it was an M3 Grand Coupe pretty much.
and I guess that's why I said I get what you're saying. But what I mean is, the Charger was always supposed to be two door. The Challenger was also two door. When they came out with the Charger name, in my mind, that's
They
just
had to
bad.
slap that with a 4-door variant. They had to,
They
because
they didn't
at
need
least
to.
the models back then technically did come with a 4-door option. It just everyone bought the two. No one wanted the
See,
four.
they didn't. You're right. You think with that point, you're right. But they didn't need to. In the same way that they got bad mouth back then, it took them a few years to get over that hump. Because you know how many people didn't buy the Charger and went and bought a Camaro or a Mustang? Because when the Camaro finally came back out, like what, oh 08, oh 07, oh 08 ish, oh 08, oh 09. You know, they went and bought those because they were actually proper two doors. So that's why Dodge had to come out with the Challenger. But I'm happy that this time they were like, all right, scrap the Challenger because, like I said, in my mind, the Challenger name was only supposed to be there just to fill up a spot. You know what I mean? It was really supposed to be called the Charger two door, but they were like, oh, we need to make a whole
But then there would have to be the Charger 2-door and a Charger 4-door type ordeal, and they would have had to axe out the Challenger completely. That's what, like, what pissed me off is
Challenger name. That's what I'm saying. Challenger name should have never came back.
but then now you got to think about, like, and that's what pisses me off because I go right back to BMW when I think about this shit. It's like, why did they have to make a whole nother like four, like an M4, because the M3 was always a coupe, but they offered a 4-door, and then it's like they gave the M3 the 4-door thing, and then just went like, oh, the 2-door, oh, it's called the M4. It's like, why? It's like the
The
M3 was
same
always a
reason.
2-door.
It's not. But see, okay, now I'm again. I know it seems like we're bad mouthing Dodge and BMW. I'm going to also point out something. Audi did the same thing with the 5 Series line, the A5 lineup.
Mm-hmm.
So the A5 used to be a coupe. Okay, it was a
Yeah,
coupe. The A4 was your four door, and you can get a convertible, or you got
yeah.
the A5 coupe, which is a little bit more sleeker and everything. Then they changed the A5 into like an A7 basically now. It's like a four door, five door now coupe hatch thing.
Okay.
And and that's why I'm like it's not just them, it's not just BMW or Dodge. I have this problem across the board with a lot of manufacturers. They're taking a lot of the cars that we know as they are, you
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean, whatever market or category they're in, whether it's a compact, a midsize, or whatever, or if it's a coupe or four door, and they're changing it. They're changing what we know what that model of that car is. So that's what I mean. Like this, it's not just Dodge or BMW. I just have a problem with a lot of them when they take their models that we know what they were before, and then they switch it up. But I understand as well because they have a lot of model overlap. There's a lot of things where it's just things are overlapping. Yep. And that was the main reason why if I was going to put a V8 in my Lincoln LS, I was going to do a LS swap versus a Coyote. See
I
that
do
width right there?
I do a
The
coyote all
height
day.
is not a problem. The
I
height
do
is not a problem. It's the width. The
I'll do
width.
the
The width is what keeps
I'll
it.
still do the coyote all day. It's a better air pump.
See, with the width,
I'll
the
do a
width of it is
coyote or I'll do a LT6. I'll do dual overhead cam because it's a better, more efficient engine all day, every day. LS is literally you want to power anything you got in your garage. That's all you got to do. Drop front wheel drive. Yeah, we got a transfer case. I'm a transaxle transmission for that. Rear wheel drive, no issues. You want to pair it up with a turbo 400? Fine. TR 6060? Sure. Tremec 6
too big
speed?
though for certain
Fine.
applications.
Transaxle? Yeah, we got that too. Just borrow our Corvette lineup. Like the LS goes in everything. It does. Don't like
Yep,
just like the Honda K motor goes in everything. 2J, you're gonna have to make things work a little more than what they should, but it can somewhat go in everything too. But the main what is it? Engine swap engine is going to be the LS pushrod V8. They're starting to
it's just
crack.
smaller. Like look at the width.
They're starting to crack into Hemis like more and more, but it's always gonna be LS. It's
Yeah, I'm happy
always.
to. Hemis right now, like there's a Hemis are being cracked open, and now more than recent, more so than ever recently. It seems that the Nissan V8s are starting to pick up now.
Like you can't complain. You can't complain with what the LS has been capable of. But I'll never choose it over its contemporaries only because of the way it's designed. Just the fact that just alone how they went dual overhead cam. It's just to
I'm
me
always going to be
it's always
Team
gonna be
LS.
better for me. I'm always gonna be Team Coyote only because like Chevy versus Dodge, let's say. Just I get that it's wider, it's bigger, it's harder to fit, but numbers wise, you really can't complain with what they're capable of.
Yeah.
Oh, it's more complicated at time, but all right, don't ever become a mechanic. Don't just if you're
But
really
see,
worried.
that's the thing though. It's a Ford. Like, and don't get me wrong, the performance potential is amazing,
Yes,
but it's a Ford.
what's wrong with it being a Ford?
It could just one day grenade itself.
Just like a Chevy LS.
Yeah, at least the LS though. If we're talking LSs. At least they're known to stand like a beating. Some coyotes, you know what I mean? They just go pop. That's it.
You so
Not the Gen fives and Gen
you're
fours.
telling me Coyotes pop but LSs don't. That's what you're telling me right now. Like I
We
haven't seen
see
that.
more
Like I
coyotes.
haven't seen an
We
LS
see
pop.
more. No, but we see more coyotes pop. You know what I mean? Like
You see more Coyotes
talk.
pop because of what's posted, but actually working on them, how much have you seen? That's the question at hand. I've seen an equal amount of them pop because I've worked on them. But for some reason, people go like, "Oh, more people report, or more people say this." Like, did y'all forget the era when LS dropped valves? I guess we completely forgot about that span of years.
Manufacturing issue. Manufacturing
Hey,
issue.
from like I said, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. From the gate. Yes,
Let's see. Now from the gate,
Coyote has had oil starvation from the gate, but we're not gonna say that LS never had valve dropping issues from the gate.
but see, at least with the LS, it was only a specific variant. It wasn't all of them. It was only like the LS, what, seven? At
So,
least. Like you
all
could
right,
buy LS2,
fine. You know what?
feed on it
I'll
all
give
day.
you that.
LS3,
I'll give you
feed
that.
on
And
that.
I'm not even trying to back Coyote. Cylinder deactivation.
Only in the truck motors.
And
Those are
guess
LSs.
what? But guess what? That's a majority of them.
Mm.
But that's I'm not
But
arguing
not
with
not not in the Camaros, not in the
I'm not
Camaros and the
arguing
car.
with
I'm just
you
saying,
how
Coyotes hand for hand, though, like you know what I mean. Like as a standard, they had an issue across the board where like you're right. Yeah, LS is. I'm not saying LS is perfect by any means. I'm just saying there's chances are you can buy a bulletproof LS variant or a truck variant. Send it for a couple 100,000 miles. Where the Coyote, I'm not saying that you can't do that either, because there's people with work trucks. Because you know what I mean. And if we want to get into specifics, like
Yeah,
the F-150 has a slightly different firing order and slightly different cams.
yes.
So you know what I mean. I know that type of stuff can play at like engine longevity and lifespan, but it just seems like you see more Coyotes, especially. And again, this is I said it. This isn't the Gen 3 or 4, or not even really Gen 2. It's really just the Gen 1s that you really see blow up like that. You know what I mean? It really was Gen 1s, and that's because it was new. It was new. People weren't familiar with it. It's new technology. So it's like hey, we know we've seen the four valves, we've seen the Terminator, the 4.6s, 5.4s, but the Coyote was like uncharted new, like, oh, this is different. People realized the cams weren't even round in some of them. They're like slightly oval. Like little things, all these little nuances and things that were like, okay, this is new to us. Now that we figured it out, yeah, we got some powerhouse Coyotes and bulletproof Coyotes on the street, just like we had powerhouse LSs. I'd say stock for stock problems.
But even
Oil
with the
starvation is
LT, with the
bigger.
direct injection, the same thing. They figured out that that's actually people for some reason won't go towards it. I don't know why, because it's technically you get more power out of them. But I can see why people will not
Tuning,
go towards direct injection because of its properties and what it does after a certain
tuning,
lifespan.
yeah. Yeah.
Tuning is another one, yeah. But you could run DI modules now. So, but I digress. All I'm saying is I'm not saying the LS is better than Coyote or the Coyote is better than the LS. I'm saying as far as what the Coyote can do, and for its span that has been around, it is way more efficient than the LS. It's way more probable than the LS. It's just the LS has been around way longer. It has had its own variants, and it has a shit ton of aftermarket support. Coyote's getting up there with aftermarket support. Not as crazy as the LS, not as crazy as the 2J, not as crazy as the RB over in Australia, not as crazy as the VR38. Like Coyote hasn't reached that. I think not even the Honda K series motors. It hasn't reached that level of aftermarket support like those engines. But it's definitely like
It's on the way there.
other than those five I just mentioned, you can't think of and the 4G63. Sorry, I forgot about that one. You can't think of any other engine that has reached Coyote levels of aftermarket support.
I
It's
mean,
in its own like middle ground in a sense.
I'm gonna say this only because I'm gonna say it. It's only because it's a Ford and it came in a Mustang. Just like how we know any engine or motor, like which is why I know why you're saying Dodge needs to make a specific car for that new motor if they really want it to be showcased and to gain support. You are
Yeah.
on the money because yes, any car, like for example, as long as I know Mustang has a V8 or whatever variant the V8 is in it, I know aftermarket support's going to blow up. But even like look at BMW, right? The B58 came out. There's some support, the typical BMW support, because
Until it
people
came into the
people
Supra.
touch BMW
Until it went
exactly.
into the Supra. That's
People
when
touch
everyone was like,
BMWs, they like poke at
"Whoa!"
it. They
Everyone was
poke
like,
at it.
"Whoa!"
Yeah, and then now all of a sudden people making 1,000 horsepower. But I guarantee you, in a funny way, if the Supra didn't come out, those BMW engines were probably stuck at like 600, 700 horsepower. People probably wouldn't have, well, okay, I know they probably would have figured it out eventually, but they probably would have been like, we're not going to push it too much because, it's just a BMW engine. Now it came in the Supra, everybody's like,
Wait a
well, let's see
second.
what this
Toyota
thing can
chose
do.
this engine?
Yeah, hold on. That means there's something we don't know about it. And then literally here we are. I mean, some people are setting records now, you know what I mean, with the motor. So it's like, just like how the Hemi didn't come in the Charger. If it
No.
only came in the Ram, I don't know. Like, yeah, we could have had some support, but maybe not as great. But it came in the Chargers and then,
Yeah,
the
because like
Challengers and the 300s, and then boom.
don't get me wrong, the V8s of the big three get a shit ton of support over here in America because it's American. Well, like, what do you expect? I'm talking about overall, like overseas. Oh, sorry. What the fuck was that? Even in Europe and all that types of stuff, it's a little different.
Mhm. Yeah, it's true. It's true. versus like yeah, overseas. Like even Toyota's V8 and Nissan's V8s don't even have the aftermarket support. Yet
Exactly.
we both know that they're equally as capable, if not more capable than these American V8s. Let's say, especially stock for stock.
Yes.
Now you start modifying them, who knows what the limit is? Because we know, like, especially with the Japanese V8s, they a lot of them are basically overbuilt from the factory. A lot of them come with some forged goodies from the factory, and then all you have to do is really you're just rods and pistons away from pushing four-digit numbers.
Of course. And not only the fact that they're overbuilt, the only the only what is it? The only companies that really build them up well, I guess, is again overseas, Australia and New Zealand. Like they
Yeah,
tinker with them more than anyone else, which is I find quite interesting how they choose. I mean, I get why they choose that market because the country's close to them, but they choose that market over anything else, whether it be BMW, like the Europeans, anything European, whether they choose like the reason why they got to choose American is because of Holden of all those
yeah,
companies over there. But if it weren't for that,
exactly.
if it weren't for those companies choosing, or they're probably subsidiaries, or GM probably, or Ford, it's like we got to build something for the Australian market, and they did that bullshit. So that's probably how they
Yep.
capitalized on that. But if it wasn't for that,
That's all
they would have
total.
they would have looked for more Japanese V8s than anything. Like
Yep,
your VK56 and the Nissan, like they go crazy with that motor, or
they go
the
crazy.
U
Or UZ, they
or
go
the UZ
for
is another
UZ.
one, and it's interesting how they will go UZ, but they won't go UR. And with the VKs, they rather focus on the 56 than the 45. So it's like they rather have the newer Nissan, but the older Toyota. But they don't want to. For some reason, no one's really touching the two
Yeah,
UR, which is
it seems like Toyota built the best older V8 because like it's just perfect all around, like just perfect properties. The new one is good, don't get me wrong, but probably yeah, when they modify it, they probably like ooh. And then like Nissan, the older V8 probably was like, you guys built one good V8, and you guys gave us this crap for production. Then they finally built like
the
finally
VK56.
it's like then it
Yeah,
was like oh, you guys finally built something good again.
yeah,
So yes, I see. That's why I see why it's always going to be. You are for the Japanese V8 now. For like, you want a high revving, fast V8. It's only 4 liters. You can do whatever you need to it. Boost it
exactly,
to the moon. Or if you want a big block V8 from Japan, you get the Nissan. You get the biggest V8 that you can get. It's
of
still
course.
dual overhead cam, and somehow it can rev. It's still kind of rev happy, and will still make power. So it's like I see. Yeah, and then of course, yeah, of course you got the Americans, which and then we already went over the Americans, but yeah. Oh, America.
But yeah, but stop talking about Carlos Tavares. I'm tired of hearing him. I
Yeah,
don't know why we're
I'm gonna
focused on
say
him.
so. Next, I'm about to say yeah. So next topic, right? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? I'll say we get over the news articles like metal, or we can either do metal or yeah, I say we do metal, and then we can go into the brands like Subaru, Mazda, Hennessy, and Porsche.
Yeah, we could go over that. What is it? Why? How do I say this?
Yeah,
Why are metals? I mean, I can understand why steel and aluminum are like not as scary manufacturers, but they're they're definitely gonna be thinking twice or three times more because of how they get the supply of metals. Because obviously
exactly.
overseas metal is cheaper. I can see
Yep.
why. I can see why it could be happening,
Yeah.
especially if like they have a tariff on Canada and most of their metals are coming from Canada. Like, oh, I can see right here the Canadian flag, and now they're at a standstill because now they're upcharging on metals. They're adding the tariff, so
Yeah.
it to me it's kind of a no-brainer. Why? Because we already know what's happening. It's just
Yeah.
I still don't
Yeah.
see why they don't keep a good relationship with Canada. I mean, Mexico's a different story. I don't know how different. I don't know how good of a relationship we have with Mexico, judging by everything that's going on. But at least I know we have somewhat of a better relationship with Canada than we do with Mexico. So I guess my only thing is Why are we dealing with this type of this situation at hand? That's what I want to know.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Because it's not
Um,
just metals, it's cars, it's safety regulations over in Japan. Uh, what is it? Ford's halting shipments of a lot of their stuff overseas. You know, like
yeah,
it's more than just oh we're not getting our metals from the subsidiary or like from our closest countries, but it's like Ford outsources, Chevy, Dodge, Stellantis outsourced because Stellantis is more of a European thing than anything. Ford, when they had the joint venture with Mazda, and all, I don't know if they still do or not, but everything is more an outish joint venture type ordeal. So I don't understand why this is an issue on home soil. But I'll let you. I want to hear your take on it to see if it changes my mind.
well, all right. I don't know how to I guess how do I want to approach that? How do, how do I really, 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 really just like you hit the nail on the head on everything, so I really can't really say much different other than like yes, we already know like what the outcome was going to be. Like if people didn't understand what would happen, then I guess they've been on the run. But yeah, like there's really nothing we can really do with the tariffs because now it's like unless they really bring that company or that plant here and manufacture that car here in the US, they're gonna be hit with tariffs. The price is gonna go up. Like, I mean, just the other day, right? I haven't really noticed too many things go up because of the tariffs in myself until
Yeah,
I went and looked at a 3D printer. And this same 3D printer that I was gonna get for $1,200 and it was on sale for like $900 at one point during Black Friday is now $1,700. And so I'm like, that's the first thing I ever noticed that now has been affected by the tariffs. So with that, I say car prices are going to go up, unfortunately. And in my mind, I think this was just the U.S.'s way of preparing for the Chinese cars that were getting ready to come into the U.S. By that way
yeah,
saying, hey,
that's
well, if you
crazy.
bring that car in, that $15,000 car is still gonna be now 30, like basically everybody else's car. So if you think you're gonna come in here and sell us this car that is like an $80,000 car in our world, in the US, when I say our world, meaning specifically the US,
Yeah,
no, you're not gonna sell that car for at least 65. You're not gonna come in here and sell your car so cheap. And that's where I think a lot of this stems from. I think a lot of it stems from them saying, you know what? You guys are not going to come in here and it's your product. And unfortunately, it's like I like to use the example of school. Um, one person messes up, everybody has to, suffer repercussions for everybody. Like if one person on the team messes
the
up,
old school. Yeah, I see what
everybody.
you're saying. I see what you're saying. I hated that shit during grade
I
school.
hated it, but I know that there's a lot of things I've seen. That it seems like in this life is symbolic with like school systems. Not go down a rabbit hole. Recess. That was your lunch break. That's your break time. You pick and choose what you do during your break time.
Yeah,
Uh, let's see. You sit for 8 hours a day. That's like work. Or you got to figure out and be productive and figure out how you're gonna apply your mind to something for 8 hours. Uh yeah, they have conditioned us so well.
condition
Anyways,
us
my
for
brand's
bullshit.
over.
Nah, but it's just it's it's gonna be interesting to see what cars might roll out, what might get hauled, how production's gonna change, how because this is gonna be more of a business thing, so they gotta look at the numbers more than ever. And it's there's gonna be a lot going on for sure. So
Yep.
are they going to stop production on some cars? Are they going to axe out some models because of this for the next 4 years? Let's say, are they going to or is this really going to make our economy great, or is it going to shut us down to a possible depression? Possible.
I think
I'm not saying we will fall into another. I don't think we learned from our
you
mistake
are on the
before.
money.
We learned from this mistake before. I don't think we're going to fall into another depression as far as that goes. but I feel we will take a massive hit on consumable goods, on the housing market, everything.
We're
there will
gonna
be a
take a hit.
considerable hit. There will be a
We're gonna.
hit.
It's gonna be felt. It's gonna be felt. It's not like you said. It's not gonna be. It might not be considered a depression or a recession. You know what I mean? But we're
Yeah.
gonna feel it, and it's definitely gonna move like one. And yes, there's gonna be a lot of manufacturers that are gonna like basically certain models are just not gonna be in the US anymore. Like basically, it's gonna be like a skeleton supply. Like I said, for years I've been saying that I felt like what's gonna happen eventually is every manufacturer is only gonna offer one or two type of cars. You know what I mean? Like the Americans are always gonna build trucks and SUVs.
Yeah.
The Japanese are gonna build cars and maybe small trucks and small SUVs,
Which they always
and
do.
then and then the Germans are going to continue to build like their big luxury cars and like their brutes and then maybe in their own respective markets, they'll build their small cars,
Hmm.
and then the Italians are always going to build the supercars because that's just like the
Well, it's not
Italians are always going to be like that designer.
The Italians and Germans and like a couple one-offs like
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Hennessy, like Rimac, like all
yeah.
these
Or
like
maybe the new Lexus, sports car, and then like
that's not really. I don't think that's gonna be a supercar. I mean, it could be, but I don't think that's gonna be a supercar. I don't think so. I think that's gonna be another leadway for them. You know what? I'll put it like this. I'll put it
I
like
foresee
this.
Toyota's variant of the GTR coming out
I'll put it
finally.
like this. If they axe the RC, especially for GT3 racing, right? Either they're going to use a Supra and put a V8 in that, which they now are testing in Australia, and and I believe in IMSA they're looking at that right now. They've already put a V8 in a Supra, like the 2UR. They've put a V8 in the Supra, and then what I'll say to that is also if they were to ask the RC, it's either gonna be the Supra, it's gonna be the new GT3 car for the Lexus Toyota brand, but it won't be Lexus anymore. It'll be Toyota, or it will be or they're gonna have to stream roll. They're gonna have to stream roll. What is it? Stream roll the new LFR to be that GT3 thing, GT3
All right,
car.
all right. I debunked it. Toyota's gonna take the Supra. It's gonna become it's gonna be the platform's gonna get tweaked, modified. So it's gonna be a BMW, technically still a chassis, but Toyota five. And then they're gonna take the 5.0, the two UR,
Yeah.
rebuild it, twin turbo it,
No,
with closed
they're
deck
gonna
it.
have to do a different engine because like
They should close deck it,
they're
close deck
going to
it, rebuild
downsize
it.
that engine. To use the same engine will be crazy. I don't think they're gonna use the same engine if they're going twin turbo. I
They
think
should
it's
look at it and be like, "Oh, Ford did it." No, not
they
Ford did it.
said because they said it
GR
was gonna be a 4 liter or 4.5 liter twin turbo V8. So as
Oh,
far as
perfect. So
we
it's a 5.0, a D-stroke, D-board 5.0, and twin turbo. And then show the world. That's it. To show the world. Show the world. Build us a Toyota version of a GTR just with a V8. So it's like, okay, the VR went from inline to V6 twin turbo. All right, we raise your V6 twin turbo with a V8
he
and
raised your
our
V6 twin turbo
Lexus
with a V8.
and our Lexified Supra. So basically, now we charge a premium so we can get away with it. Because if we try to sell it as a Toyota, we're not going to get away with selling it more than 60, 70,000.
What
But if
I
we sell it
wanna
as a Lexus,
the only thing I
90.
the only thing I don't know is if the new twin turbo V8 is either gonna be a regular conventional twin turbo V8 or a hot V style like the Germans and yeah, like the Germans. That's the
Probably going to
only
be a hot
thing.
V style.
That's the only thing we don't know.
Probably going to be a hot V style. And
Why you think
probably
so?
because Toyota, because they probably, just like they looked at the B58, they probably, I mean, again, Toyota and the engineers, they're probably not stupid. They're looking at the German V8s that come out. They probably like the new 4-liter twin turbo V8 that Mercedes has put out for years.
Yeah,
And they probably look at the Audi variants and see, okay, and then BMW's 4.4. So, okay, they've all finally made them now reliable versus, like I said, how I just found out that the 2013 to 2017 Mercedes V V8s or no, they weren't. Maybe I don't know if they're hot V, but the 5.5, 4.7s,
hmm
they weren't all that reliable. So you know what I mean? So this is why I say I think Toyota, hopefully, might hit the nail on the head perfectly and say, "Oh, we know what to build. Take our 5.0, de-stroke it down. We know it can handle the revs and the constant abuse. Now we just need to make it so it can handle some boost. And then as long as it can handle boost, it's fine." But yeah, that's what I really want to see. I just want to see Toyota actually make something good so we can shut people like me up. Because then once they shut people like me up, they're not gonna have they're not gonna have anything to worry about. They're always gonna have the Tundra, which people always know is gonna be just as capable as any American truck.
Yeah.
You're always gonna have the Tacoma, which didn't die like the Ranger, the S10, and all the other American trucks did. They died and came back,
Mhm.
or rebranded them. Um, I mean, the cars are cars. I mean, Americans don't really do cars that well anymore at all. They really just do SUVs and trucks. And yeah, so I mean, they really wouldn't have anything to be said to them anymore. They would eliminate, I hate to say it, 20 years of people just saying, "Oh, they're an economy car brand." They'll eliminate that, and people will forget because the Super, even though they haven't made an official like performance car, they've always offered cars like the ISF. They've always offered cars like the RCF. They always offered now like the GR Corolla. They've always
Mhm.
offered us like little cars. If yes, there was a time where they didn't really have much, but you could just get, on that right. Like for me, I would have been fine with a GF 460 in '06, '07, '08, or
Yeah.
'08 to 2011, or even an LS. So and even the IS 350 was pretty decently fast. It was giving G30 fives, G37s a run for their money.
Yeah. So this was the concept for the LFR, and then this is obviously the
Yeah.
testing car that they've been testing.
See, the concept doesn't look too far. Like to me, in the concept, this is what I see. I see the Toyota Supra without a back seat. I see a sleeker cabin, so like
Did
I
the
see it
Toyota
looking
Supra
lower.
even come with the backseat?
Yeah, the new one does, but it's tiny.
No, it
The old one
doesn't.
did.
Does it?
Yeah, that's why when people compare the new 400Z to the Supra, I'm like, it's almost apples to oranges because the Z never came with a back seat after like 2000. You know what I mean? Like the 300ZX was the last one that came with a back seat.
I don't think it
The Supra,
came. No, it doesn't come with a backseat. Yeah, it doesn't come with the backseat. It just comes with the speakers.
back seat. No
No, it's just
backseat?
speakers.
Where has a backseat?
It does not have a backseat. Just speakers.
Toyota
Look right there. I'm
Supra.
looking at it right now. This is the front seat. It's just speakers. There's no backseat.
Um,
Yeah, that's the front seat. That's the speakers, and that's it. That's the hatch.
oh,
It's just a two-seater.
it's actually a two-seater.
Yeah, it's always been. I mean, the previous generation, the JZA80 or the Mach 4, it was a
For the
four-seater.
whole time. How come? Why did I see? I thought I swore I thought I saw a back seat in one of these the whole time. And that sounds like how does someone squeeze a back seat in there? Wow, so it's just speakers back there. Okay, you know
Yeah,
what?
that's it.
In a funny way, guess what? That makes me like the car a little bit
He said that.
because the reason why I say that is because now it's just a two-seater. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just two seats, no back seat. Cowboy said that's going to throw off the weight, the balance of the car, having the seats and stuff. But now that I know it's a two-seater, I can actually definitely directly compare it to the Z. And you know what that tells me? The Super might have the better engine and transmission, but I'd probably still buy the Z,
The Super might have the better engine and transmission, but I still buy the Z. Yes
the
and no.
Nissan Z.
Yes and no. I'm torn on it.
The only reason I say it has a better, the 8 speed is definitely better than the Nissan. Well, I don't know how Nissan's 9 speed is, so I haven't sat in one, but I presume it still has bugs. And we already know the VR30 because it's been in the Q50s and Q60s.
Yes.
So it's like the good thing is we already have some aftermarket support, but it's only going to get crazier now because of the Z, and people are going to try to push the boundaries now because of the Z versus a Q50. But yeah,
No, but yeah, it's been testing. I guess it's a twin turbo V8 hybrid powertrain.
Good.
So
Give me the 4.5 then. Because make Nissan
he said same
build a twin
engine,
turbo
just
V8.
de-stroke it.
Yeah, and so could make Nissan build a V8, and then force Honda to say fuck you, we'll build a
He said
V8. Like
force Honda. Honda
one
would never build a V8 unless it's for racing.
one time production V8. They need to do it and call it. So what? Where they had the K, they had the J, A B C D E F G J J K L M N.
The K is the four cylinder. The J is the V6.
I'm
They
trying to
also
think
had
what letter
they
they would have
also
to
had the
call it.
B, the H, and the D of the four cylinders.
Yeah,
So it's just gonna be another letter. It's just and then it's gonna be another letter, and then the two numbers next to it's gonna be the displacement.
they just need to call it either the A or the T. They need to call it the T8. The T.
Mm.
They need to call it the T. They need to call it like a T38 or something. It needs to be like a 3.8 liter V8, something crazy small. So still Honda esque, but production engine where it just
No,
revs
they don't
high.
have they don't
Doesn't
have
need
to
to
do
make
that.
torque. I don't even want
No,
torque.
because like
I don't want torque.
they're
I
four
want horsepower
cylinder.
from
The
them.
K20 and K24, those are somewhat. I mean, the 20 is an even displacement, but the 24 is a bigger displacement. Then you got to look at the J series,
Normal size.
the 3.5. That's a big displacement because the older V6s were 2.7
3
3
2.
liter. Well, 3.32,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry, 2.73 then 3.2, whatever. So more likely it's gonna be a bigger liter V8. It's just how much is it gonna be like 4.2, 4.5? Like what are we looking at here? Type ordeal.
It's probably be 4 liter
And we
less.
gotta look at the bore and
But
stroke type ordeal.
it's gonna be 4 liter because I mean I know you say 2.4. I guess technically considered big, but I consider that normal size for a cylinder. Only because Mazda for years and Nissan for years had a 2.5, and like and they had that engine back in what 1999, 98. So like, but like yeah, and then even the V6. I mean that's normal. Nissan had a 3.7. I think a Honda even the J-Ser they had a J37 for a few years,
Yeah, because
and
the
the
Honda
TL.
V8 they only use, I believe, is IndyCar and stuff.
Ah, perfect. Oh, it's right on the
And
money.
someone
4.8 liter
in
V8.
and I forgot who the designer is. Yeah, Neutron Engine is trying to build a V8 based on two Honda K24s. Like
Yeah,
like the Suzuki V8 type. He's trying to do one out of
yeah,
Honda K20s, which will be nasty.
yeah. Do a little thing like that. Exactly. Do a little something, something. But yeah, that's all I say. That's all they need to. They just need to make a little V8 car today. It's not that hard. You know what I mean? Just boom, make the blocks, slap the heads on it, make sure everything's balanced, and
Well,
that's it.
I don't know if anyone remembers the HS 010, but they did build a V10 like NSX type to be like a front engine to also not only compete in the Japanese Touring Car Championship, but to also compete with the LFA. They completely axed the project like this, which kind of sucks because they would have had a V10 like supercar in a sense to compete with the LFA. But then they completely let me search it up. Honda HS 010 HSV. Yeah, HSV 010 is what it's called. This one came with a V10 in the front. It was supposed to compete in the GT3 Japanese touring car, like all these other racing series, and but obviously they had to make a production of it, and this was about to go into production, and then they just completely axed the program. But we would have saw a
Yep.
Honda V10.
Yeah, I'm tired of these woulda, coulda, shouldas. I'm tired of these manufacturers. That's
Yeah, it's
why
annoying, but
I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel now. I am a rebel. So whenever I see that they woulda, coulda, shoulda, I won't buy them. I won't buy them. I won't buy a Honda until they do it. And yeah, or if they don't do it, then after I'm gonna have to build the Honda they should have built, and it's gonna have an engine from a different
he
brand
said, "Shit, I
for
gotta
now.
do it myself."
It's gonna have an engine from a different brand until I can get something made from them. Like I wouldn't mind taking a let's say this hypothetical. You know what I mean? I wouldn't mind taking a 5.0. You know what I mean? Coyote,
Mm-hmm.
rip everything out, figure out how to run K series pistons and internals. You know what I mean? But technically, still 5.0, still a Ford engine at that point. Still a Ford engine. Make custom block, figure out how to run K Honda heads on it.
Well, on to the next then. The Porsche GT3 set a new record in the Nürburgring, a new
8 years.
manual transmission record.
Took 8 years
I like that though.
to beat the Viper.
I like how
Took
like they.
8 years.
I like that. Wait, was it really the Viper that had the
Eight
record?
years to beat the Viper.
No, wait, was it
I
really?
read about this the other day. It was a Viper. They beat it by 8 seconds or 10 seconds. Oh, they don't talk about it in this article. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, they beat the Viper. It's the new record.
Let me see.
They don't say, wow, they don't mention it at all.
Nürburgring. Let me see.
Yeah, it's like who was the previous record holder, right?
You're right. Set by Dodge Viper ACR in 2017. It was set
It's like
by Georg Bergmeister, a former Porsche factory sports car driver who often does record runs for the brand on the ring.
he drove a Viper and said, wow.
No, I think
Yeah,
they're referencing that to saying he drove the Porsche. I don't think they're saying he drove. Let me check. Nope, the driver Lance Arnold set that record.
oh, okay.
Yeah, because that wouldn't make sense. They put a German and
And
American car.
after he set that record, he had a tire failure, which led to a crash.
Really?
Yeah. So that's first paragraph above that. Up if you scroll up, it said that. I'm like, damn, he crashed.
Oh
Oh
well,
yeah, right there. Corner, breeze, the sidewall, airbags deployed. Dang, car got destroyed. Beautiful car.
it is. It definitely is.
It's funny. 'Cause I look at the Viper, and when I look at it, I would think it would handle good, but I would never think it would handle that good because it's so big. You know what I mean?
The
It's just like
Viper,
it just
the
looks big.
Viper handles well with the right arrow and the right. You don't need like a fast torque trans. You need something to let the power kind of be controllable. So with the right trans and the right arrow, it's definitely controllable. When they first came out, oh, those were death wishes right there, dude. That it had way too much torque. I mean, granted, that's good for the American market. For an 8.3 liter pushrod V10 designed by the Italians over in Lamborghini, um, the transmission was too high strung to the point where you step on a throttle, you're doing a burnout. It was almost uncontrollable. They refined it over the years, and they've met the mark. Don't get me wrong, but it's still a beast of a car. And I love the Viper, the way it looks, everything to the newest one, the ACR with the big wing, the canards, the splitter, the diffuser, everything that goes through it. Fucking
Still one of
hell.
my cars that I'd buy to this day if
Oh,
I got
I get a
rich.
Viper ACR, but I'm not spending $200,000. Like
Yeah, yeah. No, I'd get a regular Viper, and then I'd do my little things to it.
DuPont Registry, for example. Classes.com, Car Gurus. Yeah, you got to call for price for the ACR. You can't even like get a regular Dodge Viper 2013, the newest one, obviously, newest looking one. So Dodge Viper ACR, more than a quarter million. Yeah, I'm all set. If I got a quarter milli, going to the Italians.
Yeah.
2016, 2016 ACR with 3,800 miles in West Chicago, Illinois, quarter milli. But one with 20,000 miles is $400,000. I don't know who made that price up for both these cars, but
Yeah, you're like, yeah, they can keep it.
yeah, they could keep it. And the reason why this particular 20, these other 2016, that's 320,000 miles, that has $320,000 that has the same miles as a 400,000 dollar one is because it's a Calvo Motorsport one. So we all know Calvo and Vipers.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of know they he kind of knows what they're doing with Vipers, having the
Yeah,
fastest
he
out
likes his
there.
vipers. He love his vipers.
He love Vipers. Fucking hell. But yeah, it's crazy. I like it. I like seeing it. I hope this encourages manufacturers. I don't think they will, but I hope it encourages manufacturers to still build manual cars. The fact that the Viper held it for so long, and now that the Porsche GT3 now took the record, I hope they come out with another car that does that. I highly doubt it, but
Yeah, I
that's just
doubt it.
me.
But it's nice to know that Dodge can finally say, "Hey, it took how many years to beat us? I think that you know, maybe now it's time for us to build a new small sports car, keep that Viper heritage, and then maybe Viper proportions just scaled down. Doesn't need to be as big as a car brute. So like, since it's not a big V10, it's only an inline six.
No,
You know what I
I
mean?
think I
Hey,
think
can you think about it?
they're gonna build a
510
new
horsepower.
sports car, but I don't think it will hold up to what you're saying about the Viper because the Viper is just that the Viper is a supercar. The Viper is that car. Like
But see, it doesn't need to be that big now. It could be a scaled down like a S2K, but bigger than that, American size, straight
you
six.
think the American market is gonna go that much downsized? You're out of your mind.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
Japanese territory. That's
No,
Japanese
that's why I
downsized.
said bigger. That's why I said bigger than the S2K. So it's still gonna be American size. I mean, probably gonna be the length of a Mustang, just
So
two doors, properly balanced.
give me a size reference then, so I can get a better grasp at it.
Mustang, Mustang.
So
The
like a
Mustang isn't
Mustang.
really that big of a isn't like the Mustang is big, but it's not massive, it's not gargantuan. So Mustang size, no back seat. So imagine Mustang without the back seat.
Mm-hmm.
The new Hurricane straight six, mounted as low as it can be inside like the chassis. You know what I mean? And then because that's think about it, the Viper when it came out only what had like 400 or 500 horsepower. So this Hurricanes give you 500 horsepower and the same amount of torque.
Mm-hmm.
So now you take some weight off. It has to weigh about 3,500 pounds or less. That's it. It has to be 3,500 pounds or less, no more. 3,600 pounds if you're adding in a convertible top or whatever, airbags and weight and all that shit for safety. Other than that, 3,500 pound chassis, 3,400 pounds, because then that'll still be Dodge esque American heavy and make it handle like a bastard. Like make sure you have your suspension geometry right, the way it grips. Oh,
Then they're gonna have to throw a book at it. But we all know engineers when they work for manufacturers, they're not gonna throw the book at it. To
they just got to use what they already learned.
no. They have to go. They have to go a little above. Not I'm not saying they have to go above and beyond. They have to go a little above, meaning that to rival something of the S2K, but be a Mustang size esque package while still retaining an inline six, you're gonna have to do a lot of tweaks. Like you're gonna have to build a Supra for America if we're really
Yeah,
gonna
that's
be
it.
honest.
Z4 or M2. I mean, because it really doesn't even have to be Z4 size. I mean, BMW has the M2. M2 comes with an inline six, I believe. So it needs to be the size of an M2 or even M1, which means and then but wide enough, meaning Americans I notice the car can be small. It
Mm-hmm.
just needs to be wide. You know what I mean? It needs to be wide. The Americans we have wider shoulders. We're usually wider. So if they can make a car that's decently wide
Yeah.
but spacious enough in the cabin that you can recline, so someone that's 6 foot or taller, maybe 6'5" can fit in it. They have a contender. It won't be that hard. I mean, hell. I know the 911 is really a Volkswagen Bug, just stretched out
A
and
911 is a
right for the better
Volkswagen Bug.
proportion. It's just
Do
stretched out. It's
they?
like they're
But
like,
do
hey,
but do now? You can only make that argument if they use the same chassis. Do they use the same chassis? If they don't, you can't make that argument anymore. They used to, so I give you that. But
Again,
Do they do that
again,
now?
it's like taking. Trying to think, it's like taking something and all they did was just stretch it out. So instead
Blake,
of the
we
roof
talked
being
about
this
this
little
before.
bug,
We talked about this before. The science has to science. Is it a Volkswagen chassis? Yes or no?
it's still Volkswagen.
Is it a
And wait,
is
no matter how you
is
look
the
at it,
chassis from a Volkswagen Beetle? Yes or no?
it's derived from a Volkswagen Beetle.
No, I don't care about derivations. I care if they
Yeah,
like how you said the RS3 shares the same chassis with, you know, the Jetta and shit or whatever it may be, right? I'm pretty sure
yeah,
you said all right, same exact
yeah.
ordeal. Does the Beetle chassis is it shared with the Porsche 911?
They don't make a Beetle anymore, so it can't be shared.
The last time they built the Beetle was it shared with the Porsche 911?
No, it wasn't shared. But that's what I'm saying. You can't compare front wheel drive Beetle. That's what I'm saying. If you compare the rear wheel drive Beetle of the '60s when they were air cooled, then yeah, they were the same. And then basically the Beetle became its own thing. And all they did was keep taking the same, tweaking and tweaking and tweaking the same 911 chassis. Got better each year, got wider after a few years, got better, more technology. The basis, the backbone of it is still a rear engine
Yes,
Beetle
yes.
that got stretched out rear wheel drive. But yes, the front wheel drive iteration of the Beetles when they came out and became cookie cutter, always called cookie cutter cars. You know what I mean? They were based on the A4, Jetta, Golf, all that
Hmm.
stuff with the 1.8.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, not the same. But if we're talking old Beetle, yeah, the 911 is a glorified Beetle with a
but
what's the word? I always
even
forget.
then, I don't think they shared the same chassis after a while. I don't think so.
They didn't share it. It's a glorified
I love.
bug.
Okay, you gotta. Let's speak at it from a science point of view. You can't say it's glorified if nothing is shared. I could sit here all day and say the Supra is a Z4 because they share the same chassis, they share the same engine, they share the same most of the same electronics. They have a couple that's tweaked over. You can make that argument. um, you can also make the argument for what's it called? The G35 being the development bed for the GTR R34. I mean R35. You could say that you could say in the sense that it's a glorified G35 although they share nothing. So you can make that argument too if we're gonna compare apples to oranges type ordeal. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But all I'm saying is it's a it's basically a
You
Beetle.
could
You know
say
what I mean?
the McLaren 620, 650, 720, 760, 765 LT, all these 3.8
See,
to fully to twin turbo
like
V8s are basically
like I don't like
Nissan
AI.
R92 C1s.
Like I don't like AI, right? But this is coming from AI. You know what I mean? Like 911, the 911, right? The comparison of the 911 to a Volkswagen Beetle is a long-standing joke often made by Jeremy Clarkson. I guess this is from AI. It's reading it. The 911 shares some design origins with the Beetle, as both were designed by Ferdinand Porsche and feature a rear-mounted air-cooled engine. However, enthusiasts argue that the 911 is much more than a glorified Beetle due to its advanced engineering and continuous technological improvement.
Yes.
Going to continue. So when they first developed, the 911 was developed as a successor to the Porsche 356, which itself was based on the Beatles drivetrain. But while the 911 retained trends of the Beatles' DNA, it evolved significantly over the years with numerous technical advancements and design refinements. So
That's what I'm
the
saying.
current generation
The
of the 911, no,
356, the Porsche 356, you can argue, but the Porsche
but
911 you can't.
all they did was, no, you can, because all they did
Look at the
was
silhouette. No, no, no. Look at the
numerous,
silhouette of the
numerous
chassis.
numerous, numerous technical advancements in design refinements. So that's what I'm saying. All they did was, okay, shit, that's not gonna work anymore. Tweak. Okay, that's not gonna work. Tweak. tweak. Yes, so you can argue today. Now, by all means, you can argue today and say yes. They are completely different cars today, obviously, because they don't make the Beetle anymore. But if they were to still make the Beetle as a rear-wheel drive car, as you know what I mean, things like that, you would technically say like, yes, they're the same car, but they don't.
But they're not. That's my only
Um,
my only issue with what you're saying is I understand where you're coming from. I really do. Don't get me wrong. If you look at it chassis wise, they are nowhere near close. The Volkswagen Beetle has more in comparison with the 356, the Porsche 356 of the 50s and early 60s than it does with the 911. That's all I'm trying to say. Like I get it, it's an ongoing joke, yada yada, whatever. I can
it's just
understand
yeah. Go
like
ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I can understand that to an extent. The problem is you when it comes to chassis coding, like when it comes to all that types of stuff, like even just comparing the 356 to the Beetle is a better argument than comparing the Beetle to the 911. That's all I'm
Well,
trying
that's
to
the
say.
thing though. But that's the thing. You gotta understand. It's not that they're the same car. It's like imagine this. You have a base, right? Your base started in the 60s. I'm gonna use you know what car I'm gonna use for this? I'm gonna use the Crown Victoria. Okay. The car started in the 60s.
Yes.
You would argue that they're not the same car in 2011 because they look completely different,
Which car is this
have
again?
way
Sorry,
more
I was
safe,
say this again.
like a Ford Crown Victoria,
Okay,
the
Crown Vic,
Panther
got you.
platform,
Yeah.
right? And technically, but the only difference is technically they are more of the same platform than this, but they were the same car. So I really, let me use a better example. The what is it? The W body, I believe, from GM or whatever chassis that the Impala, Caprice, and all of them came on, Cadillac, Fleetwood, Buick Roadmaster. Basically, all these cars, they're different, right? Like
Yes.
when they first came out, they had different engines. You know what I mean? Different, but the basis is the same. You know what I mean? They might have tweaked the platform, or even the Camaros. Yeah, the W, though, even the Camaros. You know what I mean? In the 80s, they had like that wedge nose. Then in 2000, they had like the curved body. You
Yes.
would say that they're different cars and they tweak some suspension components. You know what I mean? Some things change, engines change,
Yes.
but their DNA, it's like a long lost cousin. It's like, hey, you, we're the same, but we're very different now. Like, you know what I mean? It's like we're the same, but we're so far ahead technologically now that like you can't even really say like just like I'm light years ahead of you now. Where like yeah, if someone puts it side by side, they're gonna say, "Yo, this is different, completely different." But you know, what I mean, the initial
Just because they use the same drivetrain or similar drivetrain doesn't mean that I could get I could get a Porsche for cheap. What is it? A Volkswagen Beetle. It's like I
no,
understand
no, no, no. That's not what I'm saying at all. Not what I'm
I
saying at all.
understand that's not what you're saying. What I'm saying is other than drivetrain layout, they don't really
Mhm.
share much even when they first came out. That's why I said you can argue with the 356 because it does share a good amount with the Volkswagen Beetle, although the chassis is again still different. It just shares more with the
Uh,
Beetle than the 911. That's all I'm trying to say. Like, yes, they're both rear engine, rear wheel drive vehicles. They both hang over the rear axle on their center line of axis. They both, I believe, the Porsche was a four cylinder, or did they go the flat six? I forget. I my knowledge of that is still hazy about it, but they're both air cooled engines. They both basically are similar in a lot of those aspects, but the only thing the only thing that makes them similar again is the drivetrain layout. Even with
yeah.
the old Porsches, I believe they did have four-cylinder Porsches, which I believe were derived from the Volkswagen. Don't get me wrong. I can admit where they're similar or the same, but that's where it ends pretty much. Like you can't like after that they were making the six cylinders and that's it. Let me just
Yeah,
let me just make sure they
it's
weren't.
just you gotta understand. It's the same DNA, lots of evolution in between. and that's just how most Audi people will look at it. You know what I mean? Porsche people, they don't look at it. It's like they know it's a different car. No one's saying it's the same car. It's just that when you look at the history of it all and how basically,
Oh yeah,
each generation, every
I
generation.
apologize for cutting you off, but let me just clarify. It never came with a four cylinder. It came with the six cylinder flat six instead of the flat four like the Volkswagen did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I
What's
just
Porsche?
yeah, because it's Porsche. It's a 2 liter.
I'm gonna bet
The
better
first
engine.
models were rear mounted flat six in a boxer configuration, air cooled 2 liter versus the 4 cylinder 1.6 liter that was found in the Porsche 356, which is the more comparable car to the Volkswagen Beetle than the Porsche. I just want to make that clear now that I have the evidence here. Yeah, that's from what
Yeah,
I'm looking at. That's what it is.
but you understand the 911 came out because it's like people Porsche got tired of people looking at it as it was just a Beetle. You know what I mean? Because it really was.
It was a
So of course,
refined
yes, the
Beetle.
911, the 911 came out as like the race car. Like, hey, look, it's like how BMW had like 3 series, and they had the 330 Ci and all those other different models.
Yes.
They're like, here's an M3. Hey, no, this is our there's engineering put in it. It's the same platform, yeah, but hey, this is the creme de la creme, and that's kind of
Yes.
what the 911 became. 911 just became like, hey, look, we're tweaking this so much. You can't even call it the same car in a sense, but you know what I mean. Like now it's no, you know what I mean. Like yeah, the 356 was really more what had an what do you call it, similarities with the Beetle, but then after that they were like, this is limited here. We can't handle this. We can't do this. We can't go around a racetrack like this. And yeah, platform gets stretched, tweaked, modified to the point where yeah, it's not even the same car. Like that's like me taking a BRZ, cutting it in half, extending it, and then saying, oh, I need it. Maybe I'm competing in a certain style race. And I'm like, okay, I need to extend it, and somehow. I mean, I know that usually doesn't happen, but maybe I need an extended frame,
Yeah,
an
but
extended wheelbase.
that's not really what happened with the Porsche, but I get you. With the Porsche, but I get you. I get what
Yeah,
you're
no, with
saying,
the
but that's
Porsche,
not
they changed the engine, they changed the transmission, they
they
even
changed
changed the
everything.
suspension.
Everything's
Everything
changed.
got changed. Everything got reworked. It's just the only one that was similar was like brief. It's like they took this and said, okay, let's see how we can do. Okay, back to the drawing board, and then that's why I'm
Well,
like, it's almost like it just got stretched out. It got stretched out, refined, portions became proper. Uh, where the tires sit at all four corners became the proper placement. Better angles.
I would. So what I'll say, my last point about Porsche. I mean, granted, they do have the manual record now. Porsche from the very beginning was never really a Volkswagen. It had design cues because the same guy, Fred at Porsche, that designed the 356, designed the Beetle, then designed the 911. So I get that in the sense of that. The only thing they share, not the 356, but the Beetle and the 911, is drivetrain layout. Rear engine, rear wheel drive. That's the only thing they share. Chassis, engine, everything else is different. No matter what anyone says. And you can argue with me all you want. When you look at the nitty gritty, the finer details, they don't share the same chassis construction. They don't even share the same chassis code. They share, they
Nobody
share,
nobody mentioned share. They're similar.
they don't even, well, that's what I'm saying because Toyota shared the Z4 structure. The
I see. That's
911,
different. That's actual share. Yeah, they actually
that's what I'm
just they
saying. That's what I'm
copied
saying.
homework.
The only thing similar, or yeah, the only thing similar is the rear, the drivetrain layout. Nothing else is shared. They don't share anything. So the fact that people say, and I get it because of the jokes, that it's just a glorified Volkswagen Beetle, the way it handles and everything else, blah blah blah. I get it. Yet they should have went double wishbone since they first came out with the 911, but they never did. They stuck with McPherson struts, just like the Volkswagen Beetle. They stuck with that same design. They stuck with similar 5-speed gearbox or 4-speed gearbox. I understand that aspect, but everything
There's a
else,
lot of limitations. It seems like what I mean.
and that's what pissed me off is like the 911 was supposed to be this refined thing from the very beginning, but they stuck with old shit. So like they stuck with old design. which I get that, but
Yes, that's it. That's the only thing I'm trying to get at. It's like they could have made. When I look at the Porsche 911, I look at a car that should be the most technologically advanced car ever because like it's like okay, it's doing something different. It's using an old school rear engine layout, engines behind your back tires, hanging off in the back like a little backpack, like a spare tire,
well,
like an old SUV from the
it's to
90s.
have all that weight on the rear wheels.
And then it handles for them to make it handle the way it does because people always badmouth that chassis layout and it handles the way it does. That's why I'm always like I'm amazed by it. I just like that people are always like so the Beetle back then had a similar layout. The Beetle could never handle that way.
Of
You know what I
course.
mean? Don't get me wrong. Yes, you can make it handle good, but it can never handle the way a 911 does, especially in this generation where they're literally, if you look at the 80s, 90s 911s, you see how much wider, they became with the what, 996 or 997 generation? I forget. Maybe it was the 991 when they finally came back out with it. I think one of them, they just literally, the whole body became like a couple inches wider
Hmm.
and the wheel, like even the wheels were stretched out wider. So like it just you could see it's like okay, this is now like a unit. Like now they mean business instead of it being small, like Miata S2K size narrow. It's now like hey, you know, I'm here. What's up? What's up?
Of
But the
course.
back wheel looked like it had shoulder muscles now.
Of
Oh,
course.
back like it's just like yeah. So, but yeah, other than that, 911s are good. It's funny to see that they finally beat the Viper. I'm not surprised. Again, the reason why I would say it's like it's a glorified Beetle because I look at a Beetle like how people look at Hondas and these other cars. They're like little go karts. So when I look
Oh
at the
yeah.
911, I think of it as like a little go kart toy thing that you just driving around.
I would like a GT3. Like I wouldn't even care if I get the if I was to get a 992. I wouldn't even care if it's a Gen 1 or Gen 2.2, 2.1, whatever it may be. I just want all the new
Mhm.
amenities, or I will get the older version that's in GT3 and just modify the shit out of that. Since now it's gonna be the cheaper 911 in a sense. You know what I'm saying?
If I'm getting a 911, I'm getting a Turbo S, for a Turbo 4S, and the 8.5
I'm getting a
24S.
911 and put my own engine in it. My own engine, my own chains.
And uh, you know why I'm gonna take the turbo model? Because one, not only do you get all-wheel drive with the turbo model, I believe, but you get turbo. So if I get a 911 Turbo 4S, um, I can go anywhere. And you know what I mean? And the funny thing is, that means I'll have 640 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds. I get the GT3 RS is the ultimate handler, but I
Yeah.
don't think I'm going to this track. All I need in my life, especially if I'm gonna be daily driving it or driving up and down the road, I think a Turbo 4S would do it for me versus a GT3 RS where GT3 RS is don't get me wrong, that's a weapon, you know what I mean? That's definitely a weapon. But I'll take my Turbo 4S where like I feel like I'll be a little bit
I'll
faster,
get the older
more
one only
torque.
only get the only one only because I love that rear, the way the rear design layout, everything about it. And it's smaller, it's somewhat lighter. I always like the
Yeah.
older the 2019 911 GT3R. It's mid-engine. They made it mid-engine. They made it double wishbone. They did all the things I would do to it.
Yeah.
They did
I'll take a
everything.
Turbo 4. I'll take a Turbo
I'll
4
grab one
all
of these
day.
old 2019 911. I'll even get a GT3. I'll just get a regular 911 and just rip everything out of it.
Yeah, me, Turbo 4S all day. It's gonna cost almost as much anyways as a you know.
But you would get a brand new turbo for us, no? Like how much does a new turbo for us
Yeah,
cost?
I'd probably get a new Turbo 4S, and if not brand new, the oldest I'd get would probably be I don't know, maybe let's see how much this one is. 100,000 still for a 2011. Wow.
Porsche 911 Turbo S retail price 230,000, brand new.
Yeah. Yep. 2023, 250, 1,300 miles.
I think you're better off with like a Carrera if you want to spend that much money. If I'm spending
Yeah,
if I'm spending between
but
127,000 and 177,000, I'm getting a GTR.
that's the thing. The Carrera comes with a turbo motor.
Does it come with a Carrera? The Here's a Carrera 4 GTS, so that must be the all-wheel drive one.
Oh no, the Carrera S comes with a twin turbo flat six. It's just the Turbo S has more. That's why.
But the 911 Carrera 4 GTS is the all-wheel drive one. That's the one you're looking for.
Oh, that must be the new one that just came out with Carrera 4 GTS. Yes, I
Yeah.
guess that plus. I wonder if that's what the turbo is now. Let me see. Carrera.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it is the new. Yeah. So yeah, it
and
is
it
the
has
new
the
one. Makes
hybrid
sense.
electric turbo like the F1 technology.
Oh, that's probably why they changed the name because it's now something that.
So it has like an MGUK style turbo, which will be cool because on low boost, that the electric motor would just spin the turbo super quick.
Ooh. Oh, here's the difference. Carrera 4 GTS, 3 liter twin turbo flat six, 450 horsepower, 406 torque. The Turbo S, 3.8 liter twin turbo flat six, 650 horsepower, 590 pound-feet of torque. Damn, so they don't do they not make a Turbo S anymore?
I do not think so.
I know.
I think it's because of the whole GT3 going like and all that stuff.
Yeah, honestly, that's what it was. I think you're right because the GT3 RS is like it's basically that car. Oh, okay, they still have it, according to them. The lows on it, wish for manual transmission, only comes with a PDK. The ride can get firm, and it has a low key appearance. It's not like the GT3 RS. That's also a pro and a con. It says pro, low key appearance, con, high low key appearance.
Oh man, let's see.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a 911, you know, turbo. Oh yeah, I found it. Yeah, they do have the turbo. Oh, see, they got a 911 turbo 50-year model. How much should that go for? I bet this
Probably
will
a lot.
go 260, 261. It costs more than a GT3 RS. See, that would be the model I buy.
That
The
would be the
911
model you
Turbo
buy. You
50.
said.
Yep, the 911 Turbo 50. 2.6 0 to 60. 2.6 seconds. That's the model I buy. Like, that's the thing. Everybody with their GT3 RS, don't get me wrong. They come out. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. They can be like, yo, race me. I got a GT3 RS. And then me, you know how I get down. I'm like, sure, sure. I'm not scared. And I'm gonna launch on them. As I proceed to launch on them with all-wheel drive and have the perfect start, and they're gonna do their little launch control. I'm like, oh, you're still back there. I'm like, oh, like thank you. But we both drive Porsches, so the pot had to be $5,000 each. So someone's walking around here with $10,000.
This dude.
I used to want a GT3 RS. Then of course, yeah, I've always wanted the RSR. The RSR is just legendary. Like that the way that
I'll
sounds.
make a
It's like,
RSR. F that. I'll grab an.
and
I'll
then that's
grab.
all.
This is my favorite body style. Porsche right here, with the small, sleek, more updated taillight design with the two single beams,
Yep,
the reverse light. You know, the
yep.
front they kept it simple. They still kept a little silhouette with the hood. All the stuff they made it. Especially the Gran Turismo version. It just looks nasty. But like this is like one of my favorites right here. This is obviously wild. I don't think this is the right one, but still, like this is technically I this is my favorite Porsche. Like, yes, the new GT3 is crazy. The GT3 RS is even more bonkers and ridiculous. The aero package is unfathomably like crazy. But I this is still my
Yeah,
favorite. I don't mind the whole unibar style design for the taillight, but this is where they went all out and realized, hey, we got to change the formula to win, and they won a lot.
yeah. I'm just gonna buy myself a Volkswagen Touareg. I mean, a Porsche Cayenne,
Mm,
and that'll be the car I use to tow my Porsche.
this dude. So, speaking of overseas brands, how can Maserati sell? We were talking about Stellantis earlier, Carlos Tavares, yada yada yada, all this
How can
bullshit.
Maserati sell?
How can Maserati sell? So the same person
Okay, well,
that the same person that's the CEO of Alfa Romeo is also the CEO of Maserati. Soriano, his name is. He was both. He was both running it, and he acted. Oh no, he's not. He's not a CEO. He's now a manager. It's another person I'm thinking about. That CEO. But he worked with Evo automaker Lucid, and then he rejoined Maserati in November 2024. So very recent. The issue, my issue is with this brand. They only have two, three models for North America, for like the North American
yeah,
market. Because like the SUV, who are they competing against? BMW, Audi, Lamborghini, especially if you're looking for.
everybody.
Well, we're talking about let's say premium style, like even yours Infinity, um, the Lexus, Lamborghini, BMW, Audi, Mercedes.
Cadillac.
Cadillac is an arguable one, especially for American buyers. Lincoln is another one. Um,
Jeep.
Dodge. Dodge doesn't really know. The Grand Wagoneer, you could probably make an argument, but I don't think.
Grand Cherokee now. They got screens in it. That's luxury. They got screens in it now.
So how would you
Like the great,
convince? So how would you convince uh
like if I
buyers?
went in, yeah, like if I went into a Maserati dealership and there's a Dodge Chrysler Jeep dealership right there, which usually there is, I'm probably gonna walk out with a Jeep Grand Cherokee because I'm gonna get screens and everything all on the inside, a bigger SUV, you know what I mean? Sit a little bit higher and probably same similar performance.
Yes.
Anyways, how do you sell a Maserati in the
How
US?
will you sell
You
a
don't.
Maserati to a person, especially the younger crowd? Because I guess from what he's trying to explain, that Maserati is like emotion. It's an emotional type brand. It's the feeling, the aspects, the little nerve,
You don't.
the nerve wrackingness.
Everybody knows Maserati has the same fate as Jaguar. End of story. Same fate. Same
Because
fate as Jaguar. They were known for not being reliable. They make nice looking
well,
cars,
they're
beautiful
FCA,
looking
so they
cars.
have a better engine.
So the same thing, just like Jaguar. When Jaguar finally started making yeah, decent. I'm not gonna say good, decent engines that last a little bit longer. You had to really be really on top of the maintenance. Um, their reputation was still hurt. The same way like Nissan's reputation still hurt from the CVTs.
But the thing is, Maserati is that I agree, but Maserati is still like the brand of S's. It's like one of those things that could also compete to an extent. Granted, their depreciation is crazy, but
They can
it's
compete, but they're hurt
like they're
because of
back with
their
the
depreciation.
MC20 and they built their own. Although it's very similar to the Ferrari F154 and Alpha 690T, like the engine design is almost too similar to the point where it looked like it's just borrowed. Um, they brought back the essence of character with the MC20 correlating to the MC12 back when I still believe Maserati built a better car than Ferrari at the time to compete, especially in racing.
Well, see, you're right about that stuff and heritage and stuff like that. That's what I mean. But that doesn't always trickle down to their production car world. Like that's the thing that's the one thing that always, like I said, irked me in terms of automotive brands. They can
Mm-hmm.
be dominant and successful in racing or engineering certain things, but
Yeah,
then when it comes to like certain production cars, they drop the ball completely. So Maserati just drops the ball completely in terms like there's
going
nothing
going
that their
off
cars offer.
going off what you said, how would you sell the Greciale? The car that's supposed to be entry level, the car that's supposed to appeal to a younger, more female population, quote unquote.
I don't sell it. I tell everybody to go buy a Dodge Tonale, or I mean the Alfa Romeo Tonale or the Dodge Hornet instead, because they're the same car. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm about to
What
say
I
that's
mean
a
is,
crazy.
what I
That's a
mean is, I'm
that's
sorry.
crazy.
What I mean is, sorry, I didn't say that out loud, did I? What I mean is, it's a good car. They're gonna have to sell it as a sporty luxury car that, like, it's like a X3, X1 alternative. But the problem is the pricing they have their cars at is so high. Two, you're not getting anything crazy out there cars. Like you're getting a nice style. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? Like it's a nice styling. Very very beautiful car. Same way like I look at Infinity, but at least Infinity doesn't price their cars so far up the wazoo. Maserati's supposed to because they're supposed to be a premium brand, but they haven't offered anything premium in so many years. Like you could go in and get yourself a Ghibli or the other one, my other favorite
The
sedan that they
Gran
used to have,
Turismo,
the Gran Turismos and stuff. Like I always don't get me wrong,
the
I love,
Quattroporte.
love, yeah, the Quattroporte. I always love the way those cars look. Love. It's just that they've always been known that to not be reliable. And fast forward today, yes, they're more reliable, but there's nothing special about them. So I expect their prices to drop a little bit. You know what I mean? Like I expect it to be instead of an 80,000. I don't know how much this Rick Carly costs, but I assume it's going to be 60, $70,000 because of Maserati.
Yeah,
And I expect this car to be 50, just because it's not supposed to be a top of the line SUV. But if they want to price it accordingly, they need to learn like how other brands do. You gotta
I feel
you have
like
to cut your price.
I feel as if people who get a Maserati know what the brand is, know what cars they have, know what's inside them. Because it's very hard to sell something like that. Like for example, like Ferrari, you could sell a Ferrari just because it's Ferrari. You could sell a Lamborghini just because it's Lamborghini. It's the name. You could sell a Ferrari more than a Lamborghini just because Ferrari did it better first and everything. Yes, Lamborghini came later on and tried to smack them up, but Ferrari will always still and will be that title of no expense, everything thrown at a car for luxury,
Yeah,
pleasure, and exhilaration. Maserati, they had it at one point, but I feel like they fucked up when they built a better car than Ferrari because they use the same engine, they use somewhat the same chassis code. They just built a better car, which was when I read about it at first, because I remember seeing the cars when I was younger, but I was a kid, I didn't know much about it. But I remember later on when I was getting into cars at what is it? Let's say I believe the MC12 came out in 2004. So like I was getting into cars around 2 years after that, pretty much. When I was getting into more of those cars, reading about it, and I was like, damn, they really built a better car than Ferrari using all their parts and built called it the MC12 and just smacked them and everything like GT1. I mean GT1 was over at the time. They changed it to different programs, but they kind of killed them. And then Ferrari was like, all right, we're gonna build different engines, different stuff for you guys. We're just gonna keep Ferrari engines, which kind of like I'm like, damn, it's like it just goes to show you if they started doing more of their own thing or basically just copied Ferrari's thing and built it better. You like the Corvette C8, the C8 Corvette, similar ordeal. Like they, although it's not a, I wouldn't say it's a better car than the 458. You can make an arguable statement it is. It's just
yeah, that's similar. Is everything similar? Same in a similar fashion. Yeah,
that's what I want to see. Like, how will they sell a car like this now? Like, yes, they revived the MC20, like they revived the MC12 successor type ordeal. But what else do they got other than the SUV, other than the
nothing. That's why
Grisale?
I said they won't. They can't sell. They can't really sell.
Because they're saying, oh, Maserati, they're easy to drive, they're this and that. It's like, yeah, I understand they could be great in all aspects, but people who know Maserati will buy a Maserati. People who don't know Maserati will think, I'd rather just for the money, I'd rather spend that on a Ferrari, or I'd rather spend it on the lesser of the Alpha, because at least they share some of that aspect to it. You know, yes,
Mm-hmm.
Maserati still has that Maserati essence because of the way it's designed, the way it's engineered, and the fact that it's still made in Italy. You know, type bullshit. Like he even says here, what makes a Maserati what makes a Maserati? A Maserati is made in Italy. He said is like, would you buy a Tennessee bourbon made in Guatemala? You know, makes sense. Point taken. I get what you're coming at, but still, it's hard to sell that here. You will get more, how you say, how you get more rentals, like people renting them, than you would people buying them. You know what I'm saying? Because I had a chance to rent the um the SUV Quattroporte, and I end up going with the Mustang. What is it, Carroll Shelby edition? I ended up going with that because to me it was just a better car. Although I didn't like the 10-speed transmission, it was still a better car. Like the second gear, third gear was really weird. But we've already talked about that before.
Transmission update, software update.
And whatever. All I'm saying is, I wish they had more models for them to try to sell versus the SUV and then now their flagship. Like that. That to me makes no sense. You can't survive off just two to let's say three cars like Ferrari can. Ferrari has a different program though. They have the Daytona, they have the 296, the SF90, and then now their hypercar, which is going to be limited and is already going to be sold out to select buyers, XYZ,
Well,
the F80.
you
And then now they
can,
have the
because
SUV.
if
The
you have too many cars, it won't be good.
Ferrari
You're
does, but
right.
they still sell. Like they have the they now have an SUV after for so long. They have the entry level Ferrari, which is the 296. They have the more special Ferrari, which is the SF90. They have other programs like roasters, like the 812, the GT4C Lusso, the Daytona, and all these other ones. You know, they still have more cars of a lineup, and they still sell. I mean, they don't sell as much now. They're kind of in a drought, but they still have a better lineup. Let's say at least they have more than two, three cars. Some of them are exclusive, yes, but they still have more than two, three cars. Maserati only has two, if not three cars,
Three
from what I
cars.
could see.
Uh, yeah, yeah, but I mean, here's the thing. Like I said, it's Maserati. In order to keep it, what do I call it, bespoke, rare, they have to kind of do it that way. Otherwise, it loses its edge with what makes it special. Like the whole thing about Maserati was supposed to be a special brand.
Because they now
Supposed to
have,
be.
I'm on their website, they have the new Greciale. They still make the Ghibli, which everyone knows what the Ghibli is. They have the
Yep.
Levante, which was, I think, is a newer
The
version
other
now.
SUV,
Yep.
the other
The
SUV, they already have
Quattroporte,
that for years.
which is the four-door version, I think, of the Gran Turismo. They updated the Gran Turismo, and then the Gran Caribo is just a drop-top Gran Turismo. So it's nothing. These two, I think, are the same. They just made a drop top. And then you have the MC20 and its variants, the Cielo, which is the drop top MC20, and then the GT2, which is just more aero and all this shit. Which I, as much as I
Oh,
like
they
it,
got enough models.
but to me it's not enough because all right, you have one, you have two SUVs to choose from, which to me are practically I think they're practically similar, if not the same, depending on how you look at it. You have
One is
two sedan models. One of them just looks like an updated Ghibli. You know, that's all you're getting, and they're probably gonna axe the Ghibli in favor for the Quattroporte, or the Quattroporte is more likely, judging from the name, is four-wheel drive versus the Ghibli, which is I think the Ghibli, some of them, no, they're rear-wheel
the
drive only, I
Quattroporte
believe,
comes with a V8. The Quattroporte, I believe, comes with a V8,
and
and
then
the
the
Ghibli
Ghibli
comes
comes with a
with
twin turbo V6 because I worked on one.
yeah,
I know that one comes with a twin turbo V6, so
yeah.
you
I
get
was gonna
that,
say, and same
and
thing
then
with the
you
Grecale and the Levante. The Levante is like a mid-size. The Grecale is supposed to be like your more compact.
yeah. So like, but what I'm saying is,
but they look exactly the same.
you have two SUVs and they're similar. They could be more compact depending, but probably not. The Ghibli is just going to be an outdated Quattroporte at this point because the Quattroporte is newer. The Gran Turismo and Gran Caribou are the exact same car. It's just one of them is a drop top, and then you have the flagship MC, which not a lot of people can get because you probably have to have you know a relationship with a dealer, all this bullshit. Like where I work with, like you have to have a relationship with a dealer and all this shit. So these three models are the same. These two are highly comparable. The Ghibli's gonna be outdated for the Quattroporte, and these two are just a coupe and a drop
Well,
top version of it. So what
well,
I'm looking at is one, two, three, four-ish models.
the Grecale and the Levante, again, same thing. Grecale is smaller. Levante is mid-size, bigger. The Quattroporte is bigger, like basically full-size sedan. The Ghibli is more mid-size sedan. Like the Ghibli is smaller, almost I want to say like Dodge Avenger size, and the Quattroporte is Dodge Charger size, like in terms of length, like interior space. Now it's gonna look longer because of the way Maseratis are designed, but like the Ghibli, lengthwise, body wise, will look like the same length as a Charger, but it's gonna feel a lot smaller on the inside
Yeah,
than like a Charger. So like, so that's what I mean. That's what I was gonna say. Like, so the Quattroporte comes with like looks like it comes with a V6 as well, but it comes with more power
yeah. Cause the
and
Quattroporte comes with the V6 or a V8.
or V8, where the Ghibli's only gonna be
I think if
V6.
you get the Modena Ultima, it's the V8. Oh no, it's a
Yeah,
V6 also. Sorry. So which model comes with the V8 now?
sorry, top of the line one. Probably special order. Probably wouldn't be surprised one of those things. You know what I mean? You get the special order, and then all of a sudden, ha. So, and I mean that's the thing though. I'm happy they're finally doing this because right there,
Yeah, it's the V8.
up. If you scroll up, yeah, scroll up a little bit. I saw that's where I just saw V8. If you scroll up,
It says this, the mighty
up.
V8 Trofeo engine. So do I
Okay.
have to? All right, let me see if I can build my own. Let me just,
Oh, you
just to
have to
give
get
us.
the Trofeo package.
Oh,
I,
I can't even do that.
it's oh, it's making sense now. That's what that Trofeo package is.
So now let me look up. Uh, it's probably the
Now it
twin
makes sense.
turbo. It's probably the twin turbo one.
It makes sense. Because before I kept saying, like, I kept saying, what's the Trofeo? So Trofeo is the package, so you get the 3.8 liter V8.
Uh, yep, you're correct. It is a 3.8 liter. It is the D-stroked version of the Ferrari F154 engine. So it's a twin turbo V8. Correct. You are correct. The Levante.
So
It
now it
comes in the.
makes sense.
It could also come in the Levante
Yes,
US spec and Euro spec. It comes in the Levante GTS US and Euro spec. It could also come
and a
in the
Trofeo.
Ghibli. It could come in the Ghibli Trofeo, the Quadruporte
Yeah.
Trofeo, and the Quadruporte GTS. So that's what that means.
So you know what? And this is why I say the more I look at Maserati, the more I understand their mentality. It's the same thing. Like that's why when people knock, like when we knock Infinity and other brands for like only having one or two engines,
Mm-hmm.
I look at the other high end brands like Mercedes and Audi and all of them, and I see yes, years ago they did offer a bunch of engines, but they all learned from watching like the Americans fail, like GM for having so many brands with making the same cars and similar engines. They've also learned from like Volkswagen, who had so many different brands.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense why, like I said, all these brands, which is why I always said I've been saying for years, I feel like they're all gonna make one or two models. Like they're all gonna have one or two chassis codes, which we've seen with Infinity with the FM platform. We're seeing it with Cadillac and GM with the Alpha platform, the Zeta platform
Yeah.
that they have, which is what the Camaro, the CTS was using. All the Cadillacs at one point, the STS, the SRX, all of them were using at one point. And then now you've seen it with Toyota too, with the TNGA platform. They have the same platform for the cars and they have one for the trucks now. Now all they got to do that's why I'm like the Tacoma looks so big now because it's on the same platform as the Tundra now. It just gets extended. or shortened. You know what I mean? So based on what their needs are. The same thing with the Camry. I think they can have the Crown, they can have the Camry, the X, the Avalon, the Corolla's on the same platform, RAV4, everything Highlander. Now they got a Grand Highlander. So it's good to see all the manufacturers streamline their production. So we know that most of the cars are similar. Parts are going to be cheaper in that sense, and you know what I mean. They basically are making a car for everybody. Like now, you like that car, but it's a 4 door. You can get that same car as a 2 door. Or hey, that car you like that car, but it's too big. You can now get that car smaller.
It is, yes, it is similar in a sense. The only problem is the V8 only comes in the Ghibli, Levante, and Quattroporte. The Greciale doesn't get it. The Gran Turismo, which has been carrying them for so long, doesn't get it. The drop top version doesn't get it, and then the MC20 is just
Those are
solely V.
smaller cars. Oh, you know what? The Grecale is smaller, and the Gran Turismo and the Gran Cabrio are just they're older. They gotta be updated. Like so, see like just by the headlight design. Like see the new
Yeah,
like that right there. Like you
they
know what I mean?
updated the
Just by
headlight.
the
They're all
headlight.
different headlights, but they updated the headlight design. But still, like Gran Turismo's been carrying them. Why not put the V8 in that and like call it the Travail version? I believe is EV. Let me just
The
double
Gran
check on it.
Turismo, the Gran Turismo probably comes with its own special
So
engine.
the Medina is 3.7 V6. The Trofeo is still the twin turbo V6, and then the Forgore is the full EV one that makes 751 horse. Almost a
Yeah,
thousand
the
foot pounds of torque.
but see, that's the thing. The Gran Turismo, you know what it comes with?
All wheel drive
It comes
V6.
with a different V8.
No, that's the older one. The
It's
newer
it.
one doesn't.
Oh, sorry. Yep, sorry. Sorry.
The newer one doesn't anymore.
But it's saying, you know what it's saying? It looks like they're expected to still make a. Oh, so you know what? They added a top open top variant called the 550 PS Trofeo. So they have a Trofeo package. It's just it comes with a hybrid
Huh?
battery. They have a Trofeo package for the Gran Turismo. It's the 3 liter Nettuno twin turbo V8, and then it also has three permanent magnet radial motors. So it brings the power up to 751 horsepower and 996 pound-feet of torque.
Jesus Christ. That's the EV. Yeah, I was just looking at it.
Oh yeah, so it's all electric.
Yep, that's full EV.
So you know what? Okay, that's cool. You know why I say that's cool? Guess what? Like all brands, we're seeing what Stellantis has for EV technology. We're gonna see it get dropped
No,
into
this is different.
Maserati.
This is different. This is totally different. The only reason why I
Stellantis
say it,
can
the only
use
reason why I say it's totally different is because Maserati shares more with Ferrari. Shares way more with Ferrari. They don't. They barely share it. They share probably electronics with Stellantis as a whole, like Chrysler and all of them, because I've seen the same window actuators, shit like that. But as far as
it.
drivetrain goes, not one thing has been shared.
I bet this EV stuff will probably get shared because it's
I
EV
feel. I
instead of three
feel.
motors, probably two.
I feel as if like they built their bespoke 90-degree V6. I feel as if they've also built their own EV layout as well.
Like,
Because it wouldn't make sense to keep the Gran Turismo alive and not do that. I think this
like I
this is
want to
more
know.
bespoke to them than anything else.
Like now, I want to know. Right? I want to know what motors does the Dodge Charger EV have? I think it's also three, but I want to know if it's similar with different programming on the computers.
It could be.
Because again, it's still onto there. I get what you're saying with Maserati because they literally do their own thing, but then I'm like, I wonder. Now it makes me wonder because they said it. This is just a thing that I read about a year or two ago. The whole Dodge plan, the whole Stellantis plan. I mean, I call it Dodge. It's just because I like Dodge the most. The whole Stellantis plan was to streamline all the brands. Ferrari was still going to be obviously Ferrari.
Yes.
Maserati was going to have a little bit more incorporation with Ferrari, meaning they were going to share a lot more powertrains and technology between them.
They've always had though. They've
And
always
then and
had.
then but they were going to do more. They were going to integrate more, meaning like instead of Ferrari having just Ferrari specific stuff, that would trickle down. So now people can also get a taste of Ferrari through Maserati. Then you were going to have um, obviously the infotainments were all going to be shared across the board. Uconnect is now not going to just be a Chrysler thing. It's going to be Stellantis. It's going to be that might come in a Ferrari eventually one day. But
Yeah,
for right now, Ferrari's still being driver focused. They still want to make it like its own thing. But
of course.
Maseratis get Uconnect, Alphas, the everything else. And then you were gonna start seeing like the drivetrains, like basically the new Charger was supposed to be the basis for like what Alpha was gonna have. Like finally, Alpha was gonna get a big boy sedan, and Maserati was gonna get like an updated, basically Quattroporte. We see the updated Quattroporte, but we know they're not shared with the Charger. So clearly, they didn't do the same thing. Obviously, they were planning on doing what they planned, but a lot of their cars were all supposed to become like similar. So like, instead, Chrysler was gonna get a premium sedan, but that was going to come from Maserati. So now you get a premium
Ooh, that's a
Chrysler,
hard
but it'll be
sell,
a
but I get
Maserati.
you. I get you. It's
Yeah,
a hard sell, but I
that
get you.
yeah, that. But it was just think about it. It was just going to be a Maserati. It could be Maserati chassis, a Hemi. That's it. Doesn't need. They don't need to go that far above and beyond. Just needs to be a Maserati chassis with a Hemi. Where it doesn't have to have the same interior. It has to have an American designed interior. The
Mm.
materials could be similar because, as we know, hate to say it, no, not that I really don't hate to say it. As we know in the world, everything is fake. I finally am happy everybody woke up and smelled the coffee. Now that China, not to make this, political, but China exposed that everything has been made there, which I've been telling people for years about design and stuff like that. Why I always felt like some things are a waste of money, some things aren't. And yeah, so just give us a premium Chrysler sedan, the new 300, based it on the either the Ghibli or based it on the Quattroporte. Give us the Hurricane or the Hemi.
That's gonna be a hard sell, knowing what Maserati and Alpha represent. I don't think they'll go that route, and if they do, I feel like it will diminish their brand entirely.
It would, but what it is it's not because Alpha can still make the the Julia. You know what I mean? They still
Yeah,
can make that little sedan. They can still make that. They can run that space.
because the Alpha only got
Maserati can
three
run the
models.
bigger. Exactly, Maserati. Because the thing is, people look at Alfa and Maserati as different brands. I look at them as the same, but with different interests. Alfa makes smaller cars that are a little bit more
Alpha is like
sportier.
entry level Ferrari without the
Yeah, and
Ferrari.
then you have Maserati, which is mid level,
Yeah,
and then you have Ferrari, which is the creme de la creme. So I look at them all as like the same. You know what I mean? In a way, like Alfa, you're gonna get Alfa specific things, Ferrari technology. Alpha specific Ferrari technology. Maserati, you're
you get
getting
Ferrari.
Maserati specific for more Ferrari technology.
No, you
But
get goddamn the same drivetrains as Ferrari.
yeah, technically, yeah, you're basically getting the same drivetrain as Ferrari,
Like the
but more in like a regular car form instead of
agreed,
it being
agreed, agreed.
like this is a race car. We're gonna take this to the track. You're gonna have fun with it on the track. No, this is like a grand Gran Turismo, Grand Tour. You know what I mean? You're gonna drive it around. You might carve up some corners in the mountains, carve up some corners, and love it.
Mm.
And then you can go still take it to the shopping mall, and people aren't gonna. People might look at you and fantasize over your car, but they're not gonna stop and take pictures.
Of
Now the
course.
Ferrari, you know, yeah, people taking pictures, people rolling their windows down, they ask you to rev it, you're doing all. So I like what they got going on there, and that's why like I like what they have going on there on that side, and I want them to keep that side as premium. They just need to offer if they really want to get their brand out there. I know you say it's going to hurt them, but yeah, that's why
Oh,
they're
it
going to
is.
have to
It
use
definitely
Chrysler.
is.
They're going to have to use Chrysler as a your cheap entry level where yes, you're getting a similar vehicle, which you already technically are. Think about it. That's cool.
That
Oh,
is
that's
cool.
that's cool.
I'm just playing around with it. That's what I'm like.
I like that's actually kind of cool. But like think about it. It's like Ferrari, you're getting I mean not Ferrari, with Chrysler,
Yeah.
they have a brand. They can sell cheaper cars. They don't have to be like I said, offer nearly as much luxury. Hell, just on the style alone, people would buy this car just off the style. That's what it is. Like when you see a Maserati, you hear everybody always says the same thing. Ugh, they're not reliable, but they're beautiful.
No, they're
You hear
not.
everybody.
They're not bad with reliability. It's just the fact that they
Yeah, they're
share
not. It's just
Ferrari.
they cost,
They share Ferrari drivetrain, so you're gonna get
which
Ferrari
means they cost.
problems.
Yeah, exactly. Which means they have a pretty hefty price tag. Well, that's what
Exactly.
I mean. Most people will say like, they're beautiful, but they don't want to pay you the money for it. But that's the thing. Like you said, people who know these cars will pay and buy it because they know what they're getting, and that's what you're buying. You're paying for a car like this,
Exactly.
and yeah. Anyway, long story short, it's worth the money. Like I said, Chrysler, they just need to make one luxury sedan for Chrysler again because they've always had the 300 or 300M. And if you look in Chrysler's history, they used to compete more with Cadillac and Lincoln. They used to have the New Yorker, which
Yes.
was basically
Yes.
like the Cadillac DeVille, or before the DeVille, it was like the Cadillac Fleetwood, or it was like Lincoln's Town Car, or Lincoln's Continental. You know what I mean? It was their big boy luxury sedan with for the 80s they had technology, you know what I mean? They were the first ones to have like a voice that would tell you, "Hey, please start your vehicle. Place your foot on brake." The 80s voice, or "Please fasten seatbelt." Drive safe, like little stupid shit. It was cool because they used to be innovative till they've had a lot of financial troubles, and it seems like Chrysler's always had financial troubles between them and their partners.
Yeah.
So
I'll say we'll see. It'll be hard for
we'll see.
them. People who know Maserati will buy Maserati. People who won't know Maserati will only probably think of Ferrari. They'll be like, "What's that?" Like, "Oh, if it's not a Ferrari, like for the money, they'll be like Ferrari, a Lamborghini type ordeal." That's the way I look
Yeah.
at it. The brand's cool. Like I like the brand. I like that they're doing their own thing, especially the engine department. Don't get me wrong, but
Mhm.
it's
Like
a
this right here,
it's a tough sell.
I'd buy this over a Ferrari.
Oh, I buy MC20 all day. Like this is my favorite car only because they modernized the MC12. MC12 was one of my favorite cars back then. So the fact that they modernized it and they did their own thing, although it shares a lot of similarity with the
Ferrari.
Ferrari engines and even the Alpha 690T engine, the fact that they're still trying to do their own thing, do a monocoque chassis, do all this other stuff, I'm down with it. I like the silhouette. Like I said, it is it's like what they did with the Countach when they modernized the Countach. Lamborghini did. That's what that reminds me of, and I love it. I wouldn't mind grabbing the modern Lamborghini Countach when they modernize it. I wouldn't mind grabbing one of these either because it reminds me so much of the MC12, which is that's literally what they compare it to all the time.
Yeah.
So I would like a car like this all day. I'll definitely grab one. I don't care. I don't like it costs 200. I think 270, $280,000. Fine by me. I'll take it. Just because it reminds me so much of what the cars that I like. Like if you bring that essence of the little kid out of me, to me I wouldn't care how much it costs. That's the way I look at it. Like this, I love the MC12. Freaking it was it was a better Ferrari F50, 50 Cent, in the rap videos, aka Ferrari F50, like all this essence of the nostalgia of that. He was riding the MC12 too. He was one of the first rappers to have it. Like it's crazy. I wouldn't mind one of these at all. I would definitely get one if I had the money. But hey,
Yeah.
let's wrap it on up with the Hennessy Venom F5 Evolution.
Was it
Oh,
just a modified Corvette? Sorry. I used to like Hennessy until they were like, "Oh, it's just a Corvette, or it's just a Viper." But now, what is it? Let's see.
well, if anyone remembered how Hennessy first came up, it was a Lotus Elise stretched out with a big twin turbo V8 in the back. Like people
Yeah,
forget that Hennessy went to Great Britain to basically build his own version of a Lotus Elise because everything was basically the similar. They just stretched out the midsection to fit a V8, and
yeah,
now he's his own company and he does trim packages for the Raptor. The wow, why am I forgetting some of the cars he's done? Was it Velociraptor? Is what it's called? The
yeah.
come on, you know these American brands more than I do. What were the
Oh,
trim
oh, you
levels?
talking about? Oh man, no, he just does Hennessy packages on him. Yeah, he does like he'll do like HP 800, HP 1000. Yeah, he
But
does
didn't he
like
have like a
wraps.
Velociraptor? He had like some other shit like that.
Yeah, he likes modifying the car. He'll do like the six wheel conversion on like the Raptors, the T Rexes, the Gladiators. Um, yeah, he modifies it.
So
Like
he now he has obviously he always had his own car since the Hennessy Venom. Now he has the
let
Hennessy
him
what
F5.
the F5, which is called this is the Evolution though. So instead of 1,817 horsepower, it's 2,031 horsepower, and it does 0 to 200 miles an hour in 10.3 seconds, which is
Yeah,
bonkers,
yeah, it's like damn
bonkers.
Hennessy. Like we see it. But
Six
yeah,
point
he's
six
been
point
known.
six liter V8 with precision 7680 next gen
Oh, I know what
turbos.
V8 he used.
Six point
He used
six,
the Chevy. He used the Chevy. Sounds like the Chevy LS.
really?
Not LS, LT. Sounds like the 6.6 LT engine that they just came out with.
So
Let me
Hennessy.
find out.
So he changed more than the engine. The automaker worked with Formula One and IndyCar aerodynamicist Mark Hanford to review the car's entire aero setup. The result is a completely redesigned front splitter, new dive planes, and wake deflectors. A new gurney lip. I hate the fact that they still use gurney. I mean, they use the name gurney lip when it's not really Gurney who created it. For the rear deck lid and a new underbody design. The revised aero works in conjunction with the equally redone suspension setup. The adaptive dampeners were tuned to adjust to each of the Evo's 5 drive modes. The package runs an eye-watering $285,000 on top of the F5 $3 million starting price. Why do they still call it a gurney flap or a gurney lip when it wasn't made by him? He just took the design off the airplanes. But I digress.
Hey, no comments.
I'm just all about the science, giving respect to where it's due. It's just I know he didn't do it first.
No comments. I know for a fact that that engine is a 6.6. That definitely is the Chevy LTV. Has to be. Has to be. And of course, my thing is they'll never give credit where it's due. They're gonna call it a Hennessy V8. Ain't no damn Hennessy V8. The reason why I say it like that is because then, if as long as you know where the engine came from, you can literally build your own. And so that was my thing. I'm not knocking John Hennessy. Like I like the brand. I like what he's doing. He made his own car, so that's what I like. It's cool about that.
Yeah,
But what I didn't like was the fact that he at one point, especially how he started. So me, like, I've been following Dodges and American cars for a while. He would sell these, 500 horsepower or 800 horsepower packages for years, which is cool because you technically get a warranty with him. You know what I mean? If it blows
true,
up in a certain amount of time,
true.
but you know that same 5 to 600 horsepower could be made if you know what you're doing yourself and you buy the right parts. You know what I mean? Like you basically were paying for his stitching, his touches and the warranty. But if you know what you're doing, you can get the same engine, put the same go fast goodies on it, and you can too could go fast.
That is
That's all I have
true.
to say.
That is true, which is it's wild. It's wild to think.
You know? And that's why for years I've always said I wanted to start like my own little hot rod shop or like, where people come in, they consult with you. You're like, how much power do you want? You want this much power? Then you give them a package, a list of options. You can either make this much power this way, or you can do it this way. They pick and choose what it is. You know what I mean? And then they that's it. They write a check, and then their car's done. So that's why, like, I like seeing companies like Hennessy and all these aftermarket companies do wild things to cars and stuff. But yeah, that's all I got to say about that. Like, it's cool. It's cool because this is like his own thing and he's taking the best of everything, which is what inspires me all the time to like swap this transmission in that, take this engine, put it in that. Or hey, can I take this subframe out and put it in here? Yeah, okay, okay. I take this suspension. What about this rear differential? You know what I mean? Brakes. So it's cool when you're able to take the best of everything and all the best cars that you like
Yeah,
and put it all into one.
I'm over here trying to build my own engines and shit, but it is easier just taking borrowing parts. It definitely is.
Yeah, borrow this. Like, hey, you guys made a good red diff. Thank you, Ford. Hey, Germans, you guys made a good transmission. Thank you, BMW and ZF. Oh, hey, engine. I mean, now engines, you can sky's the limit. At
Yeah,
least back
facts.
then, yeah, it was like you either got an LS or a 2J, or you did a small block Ford or small block Chevy.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like you got Hemis, you got Ford Coyotes, you got old small block Chevys and Fords still. You got modern LSs. You even still got the 4.6 if you still want. Ah, hell, you could build a UR, you can build a UZ, you can build a VK, you
Sky's
can
the
build
limit.
a VQ now. You can build like there's so many engines today. Like you could build a J series, a K series, a D series, a B series. Like back then,
B
nobody
series is,
people only did B
although B
series
series is
back
still
then.
here, B series is dead. K is the winner, but people
Exactly.
are diehard B fans. I know the B series has they're all diehards. They will never,
Yeah,
never ever
they're
switch.
never giving it.
No,
Yeah,
they put too
they
much
left
money
it.
in them. That's what it is.
Yeah, way too much money now. They can't get out. It's like I put all this money into my B series, but a K series just smacked
Sometimes
me.
that's how it is. Sometimes that's how it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, I know. I see it. I see it. Because, like, right now, it's like me. Everybody's going to start doing Hemi swaps and everything. And I'm like, oh, man, I need a supercharger now or a turbo.
But building your whole car, like I feel like that's the way to go though to make a name for yourself, like Hennessy. Like
Yeah.
the only one I guess I'll give more credit to than ever is Pagani, Horatio Pagani, and
Mm,
Rimac will be a solid second for me.
mm,
I will give more credit. I Horatio Pagani is number one for me as far as innovative brands and innovative manufacturers. He's not even like that crazy. It's only because he went to Lamborghini to work for them as a janitor, then tried to work his way up. Said, "Yo, this is going to be the future. This is going to be better for car design. You should do it this way." Lamborghini did to him what Ferrari did to Lamborghini was like, no, type ordeal. It's like, I'm not listening to you, type ordeal. And he went on and did his thing, and now all of his cars are over millions of dollars. It's not like Lamborghini where they do build like entry level Lamborghinis or stuff like that. Like no, his cars are worth millions of dollars and that's it. You're not getting them for any less.
yeah.
And because of his it's because the whole thing's carbon fiber. He uses a Mercedes AMG V12, whether it be the 6 liter, the 7.2 twin turbo, or he went back to naturally aspirated and it's with the 6 point, I believe 5 or something like that along the lines of that. I forget what type of liters it is, but he's using a Mercedes AMG power plant with his Italian design. Like even though the dude's Argentinian, he's all about the Italian. He embraces it so much, which I could see why. I understand it. Even me working for it now, I could understand why to an extent. Like I wouldn't go full on, but I could see the pride and passion that those type of people have. You know,
Yeah.
Japan's always excelled in efficiency and durability. The Italians excelled in everything that's in between, whether it be racing, efficiency, reliability. They try to excel in that. They won't excel as much as everyone else when they focus on one thing, but they focus on trying to blend all that together. The Germans, evolution through technology. Americans, let's say they're just big engines go fast type ordeal. Like they focus on the big aspects of life. You know, they're just too much that's involved. Americans focus on the biggest, Germans focus on technology, Japan focuses on durability, and the Italians focus on blending all that together with luxury.
Yeah.
So I respect Horatio for that. He tried to blend it all at once by himself, not like trying to do it like everything else.
Yeah.
Rimac will be a solid second for me because he literally built his own car and that thing's blistering crazy,
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. No, he literally did his own thing.
Almost 2,000 horsepower, full carbon monocoque EV,
Yeah.
made in Croatia. of all places.
Even though it's electric, we'll give him a pass.
I'll give him a pass because of what he's doing, and along with that,
Yeah,
doing it in that
definitely
little, doing in that
groundbreaking.
little country, it's crazy.
Yeah, it was groundbreaking.
All because he put EV parts in the old BMW.
Yep,
It's
yep,
crazy. I give some respect to Hennessy. The only reason, I guess, why I pull back from Hennessy quite a little bit as far as his reputation is because of the bullshit he has to go through, like the lawsuits and how sometimes he doesn't keep up with bills. Like I can't respect that. I just you're an American brand trying to do this type of ordeal, like trying to build your own car, regardless of what it's
mhm,
wrapped around. Yes, at first you didn't build your own car; you basically stretched the Lotus and Lease, but you did have great intentions. You trying to build your own brand of car, and I respect it. But when you run into ordeals like that, where you're not keeping up with orders and shit like that, to me it taints it a little. Koenigsegg never had that issue. Pagani never had that issue. Even Gordon Murray with his now revived Gordon Murray automotive venture, where he's building the T50 and the T33. They understand business and they will never have that issue because of the passion they have for cars. They don't want that on their portfolio. He unfortunately Hennessy now has it on his portfolio. Unfortunately, Rimac is another one that never had it on his portfolio.
yeah,
Like I don't know if you ever watched that hour and a half interview with Rimac, Koenigsegg, Hennessy, and Gordon Murray, but it was nice to see. I wish Horatio Pagani was part of it, but the dude don't speak English. He's only Spanish and Italian. That's it. So
yeah,
I respect him sticking with it. Although I kind of wish he does speaks a little bit of English, but he's sticking with what he knows, and it just sells. And he's full breaded. Although he's Argentinian, he's full breaded with the Italian. And I respect it. Dude built his own race car at 20, 19 years old in Argentina with spare parts, looking like a Formula 3000 series car back in the 80s. So I give him too. I almost give him too much respect. Damn, like but I like it. I
yeah,
like seeing shit like that. Like if you were to do some shit like that, I give you the same amount of respect too, because it's like, bro, you're building your own shit to the most extreme level.
yeah,
Getting a down payment for an autoclave to build your own carbon fiber chassis, like it's crazy.
yeah. That's major.
It's crazy.
That's major.
But hey,
Hmm.
yeah, it's nasty. It's a nasty car. It just sucks that his reputation is tainted to the extent where every time I think Hennessy, I think he creates blistering fast cars, but he also had a problem with building customer cars. That's my issue with him.
Yep, and that's why like I get he builds his own cars, but yeah, that's why I don't really care for him because it's just to me it's just he's a bolt-on expert.
He does it pretty well though.
Yeah.
It comes with a factory warranty.
Yep, exactly. You can't get any better than that.
Yeah. But hey, that will be all for today. Nice picture of the Porsche 919 hybrid turbo V4 engine. What did I just drop? Oh,
Interesting.
that set the Nürburgring lap record. Since we were talking about lap records earlier in Porsche.
Interesting.
Uh,
Four cylinder.
Hell yeah, baby. 4 cylinder with the hybrid powertrain making 1,000 horses.
Wow.
Fucking nasty.
Interesting.
Fucking nasty. But all right, that is it for today. Nice little ending off. I am Sir Rod. The man on top of me with the red shirt is Sir Blocky. And we'll catch you on the